Welcome everyone to the PJ's Cast. I'm your host Pierce, alongside of my good pal Dylan, and making her return, Reagan. How's it going, you two?
Pretty good.
How we doing today?
Reagan's having her 2010 Edge return. Get excited. 2020 Edge return.
I don't know what that means.
Return from a long hiatus. That's all you need to know.
all right.
Literally
I
that.
think I get it now.
Too long.
Too long.
Well, to be fair, we haven't done too many podcasts like recently. The last regular podcast we did was April 7th. That was when there was still NHL regular season hockey happening. And now we're on to the second round of the playoffs. Draft lottery happened last night. Where do we want to start? Because we can start anywhere, really. What are y'all thinking?
Let's hit the Blackhawks out of the way first.
Sure.
I guess to get it started, obviously, draft lottery was last night as we are recording this. And I will say the new way they do the draft lottery is extremely interesting. I love the way that they're showing the balls.
It's different.
They show the odds after each one gets picked. And, I think when the first pick was getting picked, the Hawks went up from 9 to 18 once the third ball went in. So it was like, oh, shit, what's going on right now? Got everyone excited, but I think the craziest part of the whole situation is that two teams jumped 10 plus spots, which is insane. Islanders
I
moving
think
to
the
first
Islanders
overall.
9, and then I think Utah jumped up 10 from 14 to 4.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think last year when we were talking about the draft lottery, I was like, it'd be interesting to see a team move up to like 4 or 5 because that's a possibility. And Utah's the team to do it. Ironically, the second year that they're not Arizona, which is hilarious.
I mean, they won a draft lottery before they got an actual team name.
Listen. But yeah, with that, obviously, Blackhawks moved to third overall. But I kind of want to take a second just to talk about just how important winning the lottery is to the Islanders, because I think we can all
underratedly, like a team probably needs that the most. Like they're so barren. Lou Lamoriello has really like stripped that team dry of like any young players. Like they desperately needed that. Like before he did leave, part of the way with the Islanders, he did get Callum Ritchie. They drafted Cole Eiserman last year, and they're going to get either, depending on what they want to do, Matthew Shaver or Michael Misa, and whatever GM is going to Long Island. That's probably Ken Holland from everything we've seen. But shit, like if they got a wide pool of GMs to pick from, like it's now a more interesting spot because of that first overall pick.
100%, and they're going to get a legit franchise piece for that organization. Probably the biggest one they've had since Tavares, which is huge.
Easily, yes, yeah.
I think the question is what they go with, because obviously I think a lot of their defense is on the older side. It would make a lot of sense to get Matthew Schaefer, but at the same time, they don't have that high end forward in their prospect pool. So to get a guy like a Misa or Higgins, and obviously Higgins is the hometown kid, so that's going to be the whole talk of the town. We've been in that boat. Going to tell you right now, probably not going to draft the hometown kid. It's a lot of pressure to put on him, but at the same time, I think it's a can't miss pick for them. Utah is going to get a really good forward to put in that prospect pool that already has a lot of high end talent. And then obviously San Jose and Chicago are picking second and third. So they'll just get their pick of the litter at that point. But all around, I hope they continue to do the draft lottery that way, because it was pretty efficient. I felt, it's 30 minutes. Doesn't need to be any longer. Just not put Sam Constantino on the broadcast next time, but beggars can't be choosers.
John Beachy Gross in his Vans.
Dude, like learn how to dress, honestly. Like it actually irked me so much that you're on a national broadcast. International, because you saw it in Canada. Like, oh, God. Dress to impress.
Bro. I will say, I feel like it went a lot smoother than when they just like flip the cards up, because we've seen in the past how well that can go sometimes.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get leaked by Sweden again or whatever happened in 2019. Oh my goodness. But you're right. Yeah, like it led to a lot of suspense, Reagan, and there wasn't really a chance for anything to get leaked, which I think is huge for the sport, because a lot gets leaked.
Including the 2023
that's
draft
to say,
lottery,
looking at you, Kevin Weeks. Looking at you, Kevin Weeks. But I guess that brings us to our next point, which is Blackhawks picking third. That's kind of where we thought they were going to be picking, if I'm being honest. I didn't expect them to jump. I kind of didn't want them to jump either.
I mean, if there was going to be a year for them to drop, it was this year, really. Like they got Connor Bedard. Like they could drop. I mean, they shouldn't be picking high next year, but they could just drop for the rest of eternity. I'd be happy because they got Connor Bedard. Last year they stayed, which I was perfectly fine with as well. And now this year they dropped. So, but like still another top 3 pick that you're gonna add to the prospect pipeline. I kind of just want to like touch up on the whole presentation thing, like the whole new like how they did that. Like I like it. I think they could workshop it a bit. Obviously, the first time doing it, like they're gonna work through some kinks, but I would like to see it like they go to second overall, like who wins the second lottery first, and then you go to first overall. Because like it went the Islanders first overall, and then you had Utah jump up. I felt it would have been like more of a build up, like suspense wise, to go like Utah jumping up and then to the Islanders. But that's just me though.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Build up more suspense, but it isn't. I just give them credit for trying something different. This is a sport that's very complacent.
Absolutely,
they're very complacent with the way they go about things, and it seems like this is kind of the turn of the leaf in this, or turn of the corner in a sense of how they're going to go about things. Obviously the draft's decentralized. A lot of people aren't a big fan of that, but you got to remember.
It sounds like they're going back to it next year, though.
Yeah,
like because they obviously make the plans for the draft like pretty much a year in advance. So I would guess they probably go back to regular draft come next year.
I think so. A lot of teams just hung out in Vegas last year to do free agency too. So it'd make beneficial sense for the ownership group to all be in one spot.
Then they float around the idea of like having this crazy, like almost like how baseball has the winter meetings where you got like 4 or 5 days, you got the draft, and then you got free agency, and like all the teams are just in one city or one hub or whatever. I think that could be a lot of fun.
100%. I agree with that. Winter meetings it'd lead to free agency discussions being a little more intense. You got to book an appointment to interview Mitch Marner for his, $14 million contract or whatever he's going to get. But,
now a new father, by the way. Congrats to Mitch.
Dad strength. 1-0 in the post Mitch Marner father era. Huge. But,
more on that later.
I do want to touch on the Blackhawks now. Gives a crap about the other teams, if I'm being honest. We are a Blackhawks-centric podcast, and I firmly believe that they could not be in a better spot. I know a lot of people aren't too happy with being third because there's not as much decisiveness, but dude, Craig Button's already mocking Misa dropping to third potentially. We've seen this happen in the past where the guy that we all think is going to go 1 or 2 drops a little bit. I think of Adam Fantilli 2 years ago. I would have been money in the bank. I thought he'd go to Anaheim, and Leo Carlsson won over Anaheim in the draft process. Clearly, both teams are happy with who they picked. They're both excellent players. I'm not trying to knock any of them, but this is a league where if you like your guy, you're going to pick him. And the Hawks could luck out and get a Misa. If they don't, Pierce knows I've been banging the drum for Anton Frondell for about 2 years now. I think that guy's Swedish Jonathan Taves. In Hockey Allsvenskan, he had a strong second half. He had a stint where he had 15 points in 8 games at one point. He's 2 points behind Victor Eklund, and he played 20 less games. I think that needs to be noted. There's a reason he's getting as highly touted as he is. Porter Martone, extremely high hockey IQ. You can get 3 nerds in there with Bedard, Levshunov, and
playing on Team Canada right now, I believe, at the World
chemistry with Celebrini. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Which means Shark's gonna pick him.
6'3", power forward, just smart as a whip. He's got the same thing with Bedard. He's got that strong toe drag release, and a power forward to add to that system would be beneficial. Obviously, you have the wild card in James Higgins. James Higgins is, I think you can talk to 5 different people. You're probably going to get 5 different opinions on James Higgins. But at the end of the day, if he pans out to what we think he is, that's probably a point-a-game player in the league. The other names I'm not really going to touch on because I think if they go outside those 3, that's a colossal failure. But that's just me.
I think the one name that's getting a lot of traction is Caleb Denoyer. Like, that's another name to look out for. But if I had to wager, I think they are between Frondell and Martone. But again, like you said earlier, all it takes is one team to like a certain player over another. I was listening to the Athletic Hockey podcast where they do the prospect series, and I think we had someone in our comments on the live stream yesterday mention that there are other teams that prefer Frondell over Misa or even like another player. So it's interesting. We don't know who those teams are, but I fully expect Schaefer and Misa to go 1 and 2. But if Misa or Schaefer fall to number 3, you shut up, you run up to that stage, and you pick them. Well, I guess it's decentralized, so you're not running up the stage. But yeah, like
Get
you
Bettman will
happily
be
take.
running up.
Yeah, you force him to run up the stage like that picture of like Smithers with that guy for the Simpsons. He's just like holding the gun behind him, like you go run up and make that pick now. But yeah, who knows? Like I saw Arthur Staple, who covers the Islanders. He said like James Hagen, like he didn't say like James Hagen is in the conversation, but he's like, could the Islanders take James Hagen first overall? Again, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm seeing a lot of like people saying, oh, could Hagen's go to Long Island? So who knows? There's still another 7 or 8 weeks till the draft. There's still the Memorial Cup to be played. Like I know a lot of players' stocks have gone up because of the U18s as well. So I guess we'll see. But as it stands right now, I think it's Frundell or Martone.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. At the end of the day, I don't think they can go wrong here. I do think if they go
I don't really
Denoyer,
either.
that's you're not going for ceiling at that point. I keep coming back to Frondell for a lot of reasons, and we look at the draft.
He could be their Anton Lundell. Like I see it this way. Sorry to interrupt you, but like I almost view Frundell as like if he could be a Nico Heischer, he's your second line center. Like he gets some Selke consideration and he can put up 60, 70 points regularly, maybe get 25, 30 goals, and he's going up against other teams' top competition. That's what you want. Like Porter Martone, you're hoping becomes a premier power forward like a Matthew Tkachuk, like a Tom Wilson, like a Jason Robertson.
Been saying that
And
3 years
then
ago.
yeah, and James Hagens, well, I think he's more of the same. Like he's more like a Frank Nazar or Oliver Moore, which wouldn't be the end of the world. Like I'm not going to be disappointed if they drafted Hagens, but I think they need to diversify their forward core. Like they need to add more size, and Frundell and Mortone obviously add both of that.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, the reason I keep coming back to Frondell, it's not just because of what he's done. It's just because of players that do that in the past have translated extremely well to the NHL. The two names that come to mind immediately, I'm thinking Tim Stützle in the German league. When he started lighting it up, the second he got to the NHL, is instant impact. You look at a guy like Mo Sider when he came over, immediate impact. There's other names out there that I'm missing. I don't think Lucas Raymond was in the men's league, but that's another guy who translated immediately. There's a different, like, I'm just a firm believer that if you're playing against men at 17 and dominating, it's probably a good sign. Like Austin Matthews was dominating against people at 17.
What?
And I'm not saying it's Austin Matthews. I'm just saying that translates extremely well. Like you said, Nico Heischer dominated in the men's league and translated extremely well. Guys like perennial Selke candidate. I don't think you can pass that up. I think he's so strong on the puck. I saw someone say he's a smaller Tage Thompson, which I thought was hilarious because I'd never really looked at him like that. But he does have a lethal wrist shot. Like that's his strength. Like, yeah, he could be a little bit better in transition, but he's just so strong on the puck. You're not going to knock him off. It's plain and simple. And if you're not confident in Bedard being a center, Frondell will definitely be a center. Or you just put him on the wing and he just clears space for Bedard. But either way, I just think his game is going to translate very well to the NHL. And it's another factor as well. They're going to be able to control his development, which it seems like Kyle Davidson favors a lot. Look at Artem Levshunov last year. They said, nope, you're going to Rockford. We're taking full control of your development.
And they can do that with Frundell.
Yeah. 100%. And it worked out pretty good for him with Levshunov so far. Obviously he didn't start in camp, but he had a tremendous upbringing in the second half. And I just think if, you can mold his development into what you want it to be, it would almost make too much sense to pick him at 3. And clearly the smoke's there. I mean, Scott Powers has been tweeting about it for a month now. They have one of their legends from the Cup teams in their backyard playing with him. Marcus Kruger he's had nothing but good things to say about the kid. He had a higher point per game than Pasternak in the Allsvenskan, hockey Allsvenskan.
Who's that bum?
Yeah, not great, right? Not great. But
No.
And then obviously Martone is just lighting it up in the queue. You can't be bad at that one. I think it speaks for itself. 6'3" power forward, right-handed shot, which they don't have a lot of, if I'm being honest. Has the potential to play either wing, can play on the power play, just be a horse on the puck. And I think that's what they're looking for, honestly. Because, yeah, they have these high-skilled forwards, but you need someone who can drive the net. You need someone who can drive play. And you watch the playoffs right now. Look who's having success. It's the people who can play that style of hockey. Yeah, you don't have to be 6'5" to do that, but you just need to be strong.
Gotta go to the net.
Gotta go to the net. Gotta be strong. And I think you're in a very good position to get someone who can do that in this draft.
I feel like too, even if like whoever we end up drafting, even if they get sent down to Rockford, I feel like in the recent years, the Hawks have been really good about developing players in Rockford because I feel like, back when they were really good, they were just bad at rushing players straight into the NHL, and then it wouldn't work out, and they'd kind of be a bust, and then they'd get traded, and they'd go thrive somewhere else. But I feel like recently they've been so much better about sending guys to Rockford and making them develop, and then they have like amazing careers with the Hawks in the NHL. So I think there's a lot to be optimistic about with this draft.
Exactly. 100%. And I think the two best examples of that in recent memory are Vlasic and Nazar. I mean, once they were ready, they sent him up, and I don't think they've ever looked back. Alex Vlasic's like top 10 defenseman in the league in terms of just what he's getting used at and what he's been asked to do. Like the JFresh analytics were showing it a couple days ago, which I thought was very interesting.
The stuff, like everything.
Listen,
they do. Yeah.
Listen, it's a dumb way to go about it, but it's true. Like he's always around the puck. And you look at Frank Nazar, as soon as he dominated the AHL. Like I think we can confidently say
game.
Well over.
Dude, he was an AHL All-Star, but then they called him up and they had to replace him.
Oh no, they had to put Korchinski there. Korchinski's another guy, dude. Korchinski has benefited immensely from spending a whole year in Rockford.
Dude, the Ice Hogs could sweep the Admirals, I'm pretty sure. And the Admirals are a very good AHL team, so there's a lot of problems there.
Like I'll admit, I was really bummed at first when Korchinski got sent down, but then seeing how much his game had developed and how much better he had gotten when he got called back up, I was like, you know what? I'm not mad about it anymore, and I understand why they sent him down because he needed it, and he's gotten so much better.
100%. And Reagan, we can just compare two defensemen that have been in this situation. Look at Adam Boquist and how his development got stagnated just because of what they were asking out of him as a 20-year-old defenseman. The Hawks aren't doing that unless you're ready. Right. I think another great example is Sam Renzel. Sam Renzel wouldn't have gotten the opportunities he got.
Dude, he was so
ready.
Clearly ready. Yeah.
Dude, unbelievable. We all kind of just brushed off Saravalli being like, yeah, he's going to have a Brock Faber-like impact on the team. And guy was already playing 22 minutes a night as a
Dude, he was their best defenseman down the stretch. And he was Saravalli was also well, he's not going to play a single game in the AHL. And I think that's, as it stands right now, I think that's going to be true.
If I'm the Blackhawks, I want 2 top 6 forwards and a left-handed defenseman, and I'm rocking and rolling. That's the offseason right there. I think your right side's completely set. I think it's Renzel, it's Murphy, and it's Levshunov. That's your 3 down the right side. You have Vlasic on the left, and then you can interchange the 3 of Del Mastro, Kaiser, Korchinski. One of those 3 is going to stick permanently. Just whoever does it has to earn it. And I think Kaiser is the one that's got the step ahead just in terms of his diversity, but also Ethan Del Mastro looked really good when he was called up. So it's an embarrassment of riches, which is why I think we're all pretty.
Oh no, too many good defense.
And let's be honest,
Crevier afterthoughts.
Exactly. And yeah, let's say there's a scenario where for some reason Matthew Schaefer falls to 3 and I'm going to be honest, if Matthew Schaefer's at 3, you have to sprint to the podium and take him. I'm sorry.
No,
there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He should have never even been there. And then you just have an even more embarrassment of riches. That's when you can get creative with this team, I think. Because if your top 4 is Schaefer, Renzel, or Vlasic, Renzel, Schaefer, Levshunov, that's
cheat code.
It's about as good as it gets. And then Korchinski's your 5. You're just load up on
your Nicoletti.
Give Marner a blank check at that point. That's the reality of the situation. And they're in a I can't stress enough, they're in a really good spot. They're just in a really good spot right now. It's funny, I was watching Habs fans be like, yep, the Hawks are fucked. They missed out on Misa or Schaefer. And I just kind of laugh because I'm just you do realize your team passed on Logan Cooley for a 40-point power forward. But that's okay. That's okay. Maybe he develops into a 60-point power
forward. Passed on Michkov for Reinbacher, but
yeah. And Demidov had the worst analytics in the playoffs in the first round. But we're just not going to talk about any of that. We're just not going to talk about
he had 2 assists and
no, but he walked fucking Jesus. It's pathetic, dude. It's okay though. I get being happy about your prospects. We're the same way, but just read the room.
Yeah.
I'm just very happy with where they're at right now, and
certainly can't complain. Yeah,
It'd be one thing if, like you said, Nashville, like we said next year, if Nashville moved up and we dropped the 4,
yeah,
that probably would have sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, Utah's
Yeah.
picking right after us
whatever
in the division,
whatever.
but at the same time, like when we get good, Utah's probably the team that we're competing with. They're building their roster extremely well right now. You know, they got Sergachev on the back end, Marino on the back end, they Jersey on the back end, and
Their
then they
forward
have
core is disgusting.
it's
Like
nuts, dude.
Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Biggie
Add a Porter
Schmaltz.
Martone to that mix, and you're just it's
Yeah.
nasty, dude.
Cooking with
Honestly,
grease.
if you really want to go crazy, that's the team that probably gets James Higgins, and Higgins just becomes another Cooley in that offense. And Cooley had like 65 points this year. Like, this is why you
Who could have
draft
seen that
skill.
coming?
This is
Not
why
me,
you draft
definitely.
skill, plain and simple. Yeah, they're all under 5'10". Who cares if they're scoring goals? Like, I don't know. That's just where I'm at with the team right now.
I think Utah is primed to do something big because their ownership clearly wants to spend. I think if Mario gets to free agency, that's a team that's going to be in on the sweepstakes.
100%. And you got to think it's because Utah, the Jazz aren't really in a contending spot right now. The owner, Ryan Smith, their stadium or their arena is doing revolutionary stuff right now in terms of how they treat their fans, how they treat the clubhouses and stuff, all the different perks that they have in their arena.
They got some crazy deals. Like, I wish that would ever be a thing at Edmonton to go see games. Like, good Lord. Like, that must be fun to be a Utah fan right now.
Oh, 100%. And then they're going to be like the Yeti or some shit, or Mammoth or whatever the hell their name is.
Mammoth, yeah.
Mammoth. I know it hasn't been announced, but just some of the stuff I've seen on Twitter.
I mean, like,
towards Mammoth, but
yeah, honestly, I'm cool with them still being Utah Hockey Club. I really don't care.
It's grown on me. I'll say that, the Utah Hockey Club.
100%. Oh, and another guy that's very underrated on the team is Michael Kesselring. Michael Kesselring had an amazing upbringing this year. Like, he might be a top 4 guy for them now.
They got guys.
They got guys. They got goalies, and you know, it's going to be a team that we're going to have to keep an eye on when the Hawks are on the uptick. But yeah, draft lottery was exciting, to say the least. Didn't mean to keep ranting.
No, but there truly is a lot to be excited about. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, but like I think this offseason has the potential to be a really good one for the Blackhawks. Like, kind of going back to like if they do draft Anton Frundell, like yeah, they do have a lot of centers, but it's kind of like the thing in baseball. Like, yeah, you draft a shortstop because that's your most athletic position, but yeah, you're probably gonna move them to third base or second base. Like, that's the same thing with centers. You're probably gonna have to move them to the wing. Like, we've been talking about who's gonna be Bedard's winger, or maybe Bedard's moved to the wing. What if Bedard and Nays, like they draft Frundell and Bedard and Nays are like the dynamic duo? Like, could that be a thing?
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I remember people saying like they're gonna have their top 2 centers set. I think their top 2 centers are already set. If I'm being honest, I think Nazar's 2-way game is just unbelievable.
Do we want to go Frundell 3? Like, that is so disgusting.
Throw him on the wing, dude. I don't care.
Yeah,
like, Moore's gonna be a winger on this team when it's all said and done.
Because you still got Boisvert. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, within a couple of years, like all of this is just gonna come together, and like all the young guys could potentially hit their peak and maybe speed things up. Like, maybe they don't take a giant like leap this year, but maybe just everyone comes up in a couple of years, and that's when they just like supernova and become like a playoff team.
I'm a firm believer the supernova is coming not this year but next year. I think.
Yeah,
you'll have Bedard will be 21, Nazar will be 22
on his new contract.
Rinzel's 22. You're going to have whoever you draft this year is going to be 20. That's when you're going to start seeing the legit strides of this team. The tandem will probably be freaking Knight and Comesso at that point, from what it looks like.
Comesso like had definition of geeked versus locked in after March 1st. Gee, I wonder what happened then.
Cracked me up. Wally tweeted that, and I was just like, gee, I wonder what caused that.
Anything happened on March 1st?
I don't know. But it's a good spot to be in right now. It's a lot better spot than they were last year. I think if they even have a 5-win increase, that puts them at 30 wins. You just need to see progress. You need to see growth. And, you know, Davidson said it best. He's not like, I think it was very clear after they traded Seth Jones where Davidson stands with this team. Davidson said he's not going to be acquiring picks anymore. They have 9 picks in this draft. If you want your guy, you can go get your guy. They have another first next year. You can go get your guy if you want him. Granted, I don't know how their board stacks right now. I think they're pretty content at 3, if I'm being honest. But Davidson's just in a very good spot right now, and we know he likes to take risks, plain and simple. Like different levels of risks, obviously, but I mean, the guy tried to trade for number 4 last year. He knows what this team needs. I once again, we have some things that I disagree with Davidson on. He has time to fix that, but going in the right direction for sure.
I think that's what you want out of your GM, though. Like, I don't think you should be blindly like loving everything he does, but also blindly hating. Like, I think that's why I like doing the podcast so much, because there's so much more nuance than just like, oh, good move, bad move. Why do they do that? And I just feel like you can't get that on Twitter right now. It's either like Meatball Hawks fans are like, oh, this franchise is doomed. Like Kyle Davidson sucks as GM, and then like you just get some people that are almost like, okay, like you see the people on Twitter that will fill like the Blackhawks lineup in 5 years, and it's just all Blackhawks draft picks. It's like, no, that's not going to be the case. Like, there's a lot more nuance to this, but overall, like, I really like where Kyle Davidson is going. And like, he's made some big moves, like getting Frank Nazar for Kirby Dack, obviously, like trading Seth Jones for Spencer Knight in a first when you were backed up against the wall, and that was basically the only team he's gone to. But he's also had some like big swing and misses, like not getting the 4th overall pick. That's going to be the biggest one that sticks with us forever. And
not getting Matthew Nyes.
Yeah, didn't get David Carl as your head coach, but really it just sounded like he wanted to go back to Denver.
He's got a young family.
Time.
I think you mentioned it too when you were talking a couple weeks ago. That might be a situation where David Carl, where like that's the next coach the Hawks get, not this coach that they're getting now, but the one after that. Granted, you want to hope the guy they hire is the guy they have for the next 10 years. Like, that's what you always hope. But
with how the landscape is, I just don't see that happening. Like, yeah, everyone was kind of losing it with the David Carl thing. And, like, and he said he pulled it, or when Elliot Freeman tweeted out, he said that David Carl did pull his name for the conversation, and then we saw the tweet, it might have been a week later with Anaheim, that they interviewed David Carl, and I think Blackhawks kind of went into a panic because of that, but it's like, okay, we need more context. Like, I don't doubt that they had a meeting, but like, when was the meeting? And like, you just never know. We're not going to know too many of this like behind the scenes stuff, and we're not ever going to truly. I don't think we're going to know like what contract was offered, or like how far they got. But I think it's just simple as David Carl is a family man. He's only 35. Like, I don't know why. Like, before we really looked into him, like him being a potential option, I thought he was a little older. Like, he's 35. In theory, he could coach for another 10 years and then go back to the NHL. But to me, I still think it's like realistic within 3 years, when again, like hopefully the supernova with this team happens. He's like, man, I kind of want a piece of that now. So, but yeah, and Mike Sullivan, I don't think that was ever going to be a thing. Like, I can't blame him for,
once the Rangers job was up for grabs, it was right. Yeah, it was over.
Yeah, because like he left the Penguins because they want to rebuild. I don't think Mike Sullivan would have wanted to go to Chicago, as nice as it would have been. But yeah, he's in the Rangers now. Right, as it stands right now, I still think Jay Woodcroft is like the best option and probably most realistic option.
Yeah, I'm starting to lean towards they're going to go towards a name that we're not really focusing on. Like, I think the 2 names that have stuck out, Todd Nelson and Marco Sturm. I think those are 2 names that have very much stuck out to me. They're coming from strong coaching staffs. Jeff Halpern.
They've won, like, albeit Jeff Halpern's another one, but like they've won at the AHL level.
We're either Crofting or Wood, or we're getting Jim Halpern. Get excited. But I don't know. Like, I think Ben Pope made a really good point when we had him on the show, and it doesn't really get taken into context a lot. This is one of the sports where I don't think the coach is as important sometimes. And I think you can see that with a lot of teams. Like, look at Vegas. Vegas is turnstile their coaches. And yeah, they've had good coaches, but the point is, it's not like the NFL. Like, the NFL, your coach drives your team, plain and simple. Look at the Bears, for God's sake. They had all this talent, and their coach was a freaking knob, and the team just crumbled because they had a loser mentality. I don't think that happens as much in hockey. Like, there's a reason Sorensen's still in the mix. Like, if you can get your guys to play the way you want them to play, that's more important than a culture sometimes. Like, you want the players to make the culture, not the coach. And if the coach can just amplify that, like, I think of Spencer Carberry, right? Spencer Carberry, I've known about Spencer Carberry. His brother used to work at a restaurant in South Carolina because he was a goalie for the Stingrays. So I've known about Spencer Carberry for over a decade, for reference. But this is a guy who's worked his way up through the ranks. He worked with the Stingrays. He worked with the Leafs. Then he worked at the Capitals. Clearly, sometimes the voice in the room does matter. But then I look at other teams where it's like, okay, like the Kings have turnstile their coach and they're in the same spot. Sometimes it is a talent thing. I mean, look at the Leafs, for God's sake. Granted, Berube might be the right answer right now. It seems like he's got the right voice in that room, but the voice only means so much sometimes, I think. So I'm not too stressed on it right now. I will say, if they go off the board, way off the board, I'll have concerns, but I just think there's bigger things that I'm worried about this offseason than maybe taking a swing on a coach that hasn't had a shot yet. You know what I mean? Because who knows? Maybe Marco Sturm's the next Spencer Carberry. We don't know. We don't know if Jeff Halp, like, there's two ways this can go, right? I don't mean to keep ranting, but there's two ways this can go. You can get your Spencer Carberry, or you can get your Derek Lalonde. Which one are you going to get? That's just the reality of the situation. So take your chances. I mean, for God's sake, what's another great example is the Oilers, man. The Oilers turnstile their coaches like it's going out of style. Doesn't matter when you have that much talent on the team. Chris Knobloch clearly is getting a lot out of this team right now, but Jay Woodcroft was doing the same thing. Who was the coach before that? Tom McClellan? Like, doing the same thing. Like, it's...
Oh, no, Dave Tippett. Yeah.
Dave Tippett. This is exactly the point. Like, if you have high-end talent, it does not matter. You just want them to put that little extra in there. And I don't think the Hawks are at that point yet. So I get where we're coming from, where they want to set a culture, but I'd much rather have these players set the culture. And from what Bedard, Knight, Nazar, what these guys have been saying, like, I don't know if you heard the interview with Spencer Knight, but he basically said, like, there's not a doubt in my mind Bedard wants to be on the team. He wants to make this team elite. And that's why he gets so frustrated. Like, I think we get so hung up on just the initial emotional reaction from these players that I'm going to be honest. The reason they are reacting like that is because they care more than anyone in the world to get this team better. Like, I think you've mentioned it best, Pierce. These players take pride in being like, this is my team.
This is their livelihood. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make them elite. There's a reason we have not even sniffed McDavid trade offers, because he's so hell-bent on making that team win a cup.
He's never leaving the Oilers, sorry.
100%. Like, that's the point. So the more time goes by, the more confident I am in Bedard signing long-term. The more time goes by, the more I'm confident that they're making the right culture there. And with the quote Spencer Knight saying, it doesn't make me worried about the coach as much. I'm going to be honest. The one I'm concerned about is I hope they keep Jimmy Waite. You got to keep Jimmy Waite regardless.
Yes.
Guy's a goalie whisperer. But the rest I'm pretty indifferent on, if I'm being honest.
I will say too, the other thing with like Bedard is I think people always forget and like fail to realize that he's still 19. And I feel like at 19,
younger than my brother.
You don't know how to necessarily like handle your emotions. And if you just get frustrated.
I'd say he's handling them pretty well. Like, I don't know. I couldn't even imagine being 19 and having to deal with that kind of spotlight and pressure.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. And I think he's done well. And I mean, obviously, especially if you're a first overall pick, you're not going to a very good team. And there's going to be frustrating things. But I don't know. To me, it never seems like he's been like wanting to leave. I think he, like, kind of going off of expectations, he wants to be here and like wants to make this team good. And especially now that there's so many young guys that are playing with him, that he'll be just fine.
Plants coming to, like, we heard it 3 years ago from Emily Kaplan. Kyle Davidson's goal for this team was just to have a bunch of 21-year-olds rocking and rolling. And we're getting to that point now, and it's very exciting, if I'm being honest. And it's not just the big guys, it's the depth pieces. Like, I look at a guy like Colton Dock. Like, Colton Dock's going to be a player on this team.
Overtime winner, by the way. And
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how important of a player, but he's going to be a player. Like, there's no doubt about that. Landon Slaggert's going to be a good extra to have on this team. Nolan Allen's going to be a tremendous depth to have on that back end.
Louis Crevier.
My point exactly. You're going to have the privilege of potentially having 4 goalies competing out of camp this year. I can't remember the last time that was the case.
Crazy.
Because I think Soderblom has a very good case to stick around. Brossoit hasn't even gotten a crack on this roster yet, and his resume speaks for itself. Obviously, Spencer Knight, elite, but that's not the point. And then Comesso could steal the job from all of them out of camp. Like, we just don't know. like I said, it's an embarrassment of riches at certain positions, and they only got a couple more spots to fill before it's like, what's the meme? We got ourselves a fucking squad now. Like, this is 2 top 6 forwards, and we're looking at this team a lot differently. That's all I'm going to say.
I think, and that's what, like, kind of to wrap up the coaching thing. Like, I very much feel like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Like, oh, this coach is like too too
Too
loud.
much
This
of a hard
coach is
ass.
too quiet. Like, too much of a hard ass. Yeah, this coach is just perfect. Like, yeah, you can just cycle through a bunch of coaches until you get it right. Like, again, Vegas. Third coach was Bruce Cassidy, just right, won a Stanley Cup. Same with the Panthers. Like, of them being good, they went from Quenneville, they went to Brunette, Paul Maurice, just right. I mean, there are the rare teams where you have one coach to stick it out, like the Avs with Bednar and the Lightning with Cooper, who are both staying with their teams. But yeah, maybe like I'm thinking too much into the coaching, but I still think like it's a big thing. Like I think they gotta get it right. Like I don't know, because to me, the more and more I think about it, I don't think keeping Sorensen as the head coach would be the worst thing in the world. Like, I wouldn't do it, but I can like get the rationalization or reason for it.
The only thing I wouldn't keep Sorensen either, but the one thing if they did that I would want to see from him is just not that like he doesn't care, but like to fight for the players a little bit more on like certain calls or like certain like questionable calls that are made where like they could challenge. It's like to see him be a little bit more aggressive there if he were to stay, but I mean, who knows what's going to happen.
You're 100% right there. I think that's the one thing with Sorensen that I got hung up with the most, and Pierce couldn't tell you. I yelled it till the cows came home when we were talking about the games. It's like, if you don't get a call to go your way, he's a little too even keel at times. And yeah, that's good. You want your coach to not be wearing his heart on his sleeve, but also this team won 3 cups with a coach who wore his heart on his sleeve. So it comes that precedent.
Like, not that he didn't care. Sorry. Not that he didn't care, because, like, obviously he's coaching the NHL, so he does care. But it just felt like he just kind of let it, like, oh, whatever, like, roll off his back a little bit. And, like, you could have, like, fought for that a little bit and, like, made a case to maybe get the call overturned or something, or at least just, I don't know.
I think my biggest hang up with him, like, yeah, I'm agree with you, Reagan. Like, but he needs to show a little more emotion. I think he's got that Carlton complex where he's just a little too chill sometimes, but
too zen.
Yeah, too zen. But at the same time, I need him to teach this team how to close out games because that was their biggest issue down the stretch last year. I thought they would play a tremendous 40 minutes and then they just kind of turtle in the third period. We saw that at least 5 times to end the year. I'm thinking a lot of those Colorado games that happen. Winnipeg. There's a lot of cases where they can't close out a hockey game, and if they can learn that this year, that goes such a long way once this team gets talent. Period. End of story. If you know how to close out, like, we can just go back to those great Hawks teams. What was the stat? They went 5 years without blowing a lead after 2 periods. And then they've done it twice.
I think
they did it twice ever in the Taves and Kane era. It was game 2 against LA, and it was game 3 against St. Louis. Those are the only times they've ever blown a lead after 2 periods. That's how you win Stanley Cups. That's how you win.
And also, games. I think this is a great way to transition into the playoffs. It's like you need to learn that killer instinct, whether that's closing a game after 40 minutes. Like, yeah, the Blackhawks were basically automatic. If they were leading after 40 minutes, like that game was over. And same if they were up in a series. Like if it was 3-2, it was over. Like you brought up the games that they did blow when they were up leading after 40. I think the only times that they lost game was when they had a chance to close it out and like they were leading the series, like not counting game 7s. 2010 against Vancouver game 5, but then they come back into Vancouver and beat them 5-1. I was at that game, by the way. That's kind of what I wanted to bring that up. And then 2015 against Nashville game 5, I think they lost like 4-1 to 5-1, but then come back and win on home ice. So like whether it's closing out a game or closing out a series, like you got to have that killer instinct, and they got to learn that soon because they're a team in the playoffs that don't have that killer instinct. They don't know how to close out games. They don't know how to close out series. I think that's a perfect way to segue into the playoffs, unless you guys have like more thoughts.
I got a perfect transition for that because I want to kind of jump off this is why you're right about the coaching to an extent, because look at the Panthers. The Panthers had the talent there for about 4 years, and it didn't click till Paul Maurice got there. It didn't click till Paul Maurice basically changed the mentality of this team to we're going to beat the fucking shit out of everyone we play, and there's nothing they can do about it. And clearly it's worked. I mean, for God's sakes, they're already in the Leafs' heads after game 1. And the Leafs
Even
won
though
the
they
game.
lost. Yeah, like the seed of doubt is planted.
Yeah, and that comes from coaching. That comes from the culture that you build, and that's why I want to see them build these. You have to build these winning habits, and it shows in the playoff teams that are having success right now. Which takes us to our next topic: how nuts have these playoffs been so far? Oh
It
my
feels
goodness!
Yeah, it feels as if the playoffs have just got better and better every night. Like, full disclosure, maybe it's because like I just thought so lowly of the Oilers. I was like going into the playoffs, and also because I traveled to Florida, so like my mind wasn't like mainly on the playoffs. But this kind of started off, I was just like, whatever. But again, as the series went on, like just some incredible hockey, and like I hope we go back to 1 through 8 one day. Like, this is beating a dead horse, but I see why like they do the seeding they do, why they do the divisions they do in the first round, because in theory, like, you're gonna get the best hockey because you have the healthiest teams. But to me, it's kind of been the inverse this year. Like, Dallas won game 7 after trailing 2-0, and I think they're the first team in NHL history to win a game 7 after trailing multi goals after 40 minutes. And then the St. Louis Blues, well, the Winnipeg Jets did to the St. Louis Blues. Obviously, Winnipeg won in double overtime. We love to see the St. Louis Poos lose in double overtime.
Surely you
But
didn't blow a 3-1 lead with 2 minutes to go in the game.
no. But just truly incredible hockey. Like, I don't even know where you guys want to start, because there was just so much of it.
Sorry,
Reagan, what do you think of the playoffs so far?
I haven't watched like too many games, just haven't had time. But like I watched both game 7s, or at least some of them, and kind of going back to what we were talking about like closing out games. I think both games really showed how important it is to play the full 60 minutes, and that it's not over until it's over. Especially the Blues Jets game, because there was like 1 second on the clock when they tied it.
1.6.
I mean, I'm not a fan of either team really, but I hate the Blues so much. I just like kind of love to see it, but I just
Couldn't have happened to a better team. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly.
And to a better goalie. Bennington versus Hellebuck and a Canadian-American team in a winner-take-all game. Where has this happened before?
Makes me happy for Hellebuck because he locked in after that. He locked in after that third that box goal.
In.
Just shut the door. And like, it's interesting looking at that series, because if you would have told me 4 days ago that the Jets are going to win that series, I would have laughed at you.
I thought it was the Blues, and like up until 2 minutes left in the third period, I thought it was going to be the Blues. Still, like everyone else did too.
100%. And I'm going to be honest, that's not even the best game 7, because I think if we're being honest, the Rantanen Bowl lived up to the hype better than I think any of us could have ever imagined. Mm-hmm. And we talked, like Pierce and I talked about it time and time again. Like, Mikko Rantanen is a playoff performer. People forget that. He was one of the top scorers when they won the cup. He's out. He's got a higher point per game than McKinnon, I believe.
He's right there with him and Makar. Like, it's ridiculous.
Obviously, McKinnon's cracked. Like, he had 7 goals in 7 games. He did everything he could to win that series.
That's so ridiculous.
I'm not discrediting McKinnon, but it's such a feel-good story for the guy. You have to think, Mikko Rantanen has been public enemy #1 in the NHL since February. He's stuck on the Carolina. He never got his footing. He told Carolina he wasn't re-signing there the second he got there. Like, talk about being a villain as soon as you step in the building. Like, insane. I blame that on – I'm still will blame that on who's the GM of Carolina now? What's his name?
Eric Tulsky.
Thank you, Eric Tulsky. I blame that 100% on Eric Tulsky. You should not trade for a guy that you can't resign. That's terrible GMing right there. Yeah. And you got Stankoven in 2 first. Gives a fuck. You're a contending team. That's a terrible trade. Both ends on your part. But
same with Colorado. Like, we're like, I don't know if we're going to hear the specifics, but I would love to hear like what the contracts talks we're talking about, because I remember that happened before we got news of, the cap's going to go up like crazy. So I wonder what the discussions were like. Did they know the cap was going to go up? And if they did not, what a fucking failure, because good Lord, like, we talk about like wingers who can just like take over a game. Like, obviously the Blackhawks were blessed to have Patrick Kane just take over games and put the team on his back. And like, how many wingers can do that in the NHL? Like,
not number Kucherov, 86 in Tampa, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say Kucherov, during the regular season, not these past couple of years. Pasternak, I would add to that list. Like,
That's
How many
it.
wingers are better than Brenton? Probably that.
That's it.
Like-
It's Pasternak. That's it. I know Kucherov's good in the regular season. I don't care. You don't have a goal in 13 playoff games. You're a fucking bum.
I think it's like
plain and
one
simple.
goal in 16 playoff games.
Cares, gives a
So-
fuck. Like, you are the Art Ross winner back-to-back years. You should show up in the playoffs. I had to live with Taves and Kane
No,
getting
but he
shit
had
for
to
having
play
one
Seth
goal in
Jones.
6-game series. You will never hear the end of me on Kucherov for this one. You have no excuse to not show up in the playoffs. But assist, gives a fuck. I had to hear that with Taves and Kane too.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. And that's why I just have so much credit for Rantanen. Like, Rantanen took fucking control of that series. Took it by the balls, if you will.
5 goals, by the way, and
10
like,
points
this
in
is not
3 games.
That's insane.
What is it? Two periods he had 4 points, and including the hat trick
Like,
in game
Game
7.
7 was, you couldn't have written Game 7 better. Colorado gets a
No.
bullshit
For
short
either of
goal,
them, really. Yeah.
and then get a 2-goal lead, and Mikko Rantanen just says, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself."
Yeah.
He literally just
Mhm.
carries that team to
Fine.
victory.
I'll
And
do
yeah.
it myself.
And
I
yeah,
think-
Colorado did not help themselves. I don't know why you're tackling Tyler Seguin off the draw with 5 minutes to go in the hockey game. But, dude, like, I'm just so happy for the guy because he's just been getting so much shit for 2 months straight. And he just reminded the whole world why he's getting paid what he is. He reminded the whole world why it was a big deal when he got
Dude, he
traded.
should have got more than what he did. Like, we're talking about we're going to talk about Mart.
12 in
I
a
hope
tax-free
Blackhawks
state's a
sign
lot.
him.
I will say that. 12 in a tax-free
Yeah.
state is nuts. But
But yeah,
Yeah.
if Rantanen ever got to the market, I wanted the Blackhawks to throw everything on because I know exactly what he's capable of. And yeah, he struggled going from Colorado to Carolina and Dallas, and everyone's like, "Oh, like is he a Nathan McKinnon merchant?" And no, like he just completely goes the fuck off, like just a dog, just a beast.
And it came from putting him with Hints. Like, it's put him with the guy that he's had chemistry with on the international play, and it's clicked. And here's the part that's not going to get talked about enough. They won that series without Heiskanen or Robertson. Sorry, not Eric Robinson. They won without Jason Robertson or Miro Heiskanen. If you told me that going into game 1, I would not have believed you. Period. End of story. And I think another thing that's not getting talked about, lights were too bright for Marty Necas over there. Big time. Lights were way too bright. And Colorado's going to have a lot of thinking to do on this one. He's got 1 more year before he needs an actual extension. I know Colorado said they're not making any changes in terms of coaching or GMing. This is a colossal failure of a season by them. End of story. And I'm going to be honest. Avs fans have a point, dude. They've made it out of the second round once in the McKinnon era.
They are
Welcome
the
back,
Western
Washington
Conference.
Capitals.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's true. Like, Nathan McKinnon's now making a shit ton of money. Cale Makar is going to need his big boy extension in about a year. And
Blackhawk.
let me get into another thing. I'm the best defenseman in the league. Fucking laid a fat egg this series. And I'm not trying to be the guy that's guessing things, but maybe it's because he has to testify in court for his team being a bunch of pricks. So just going
That's one
to
way
kind
to
of throw
put
that
it.
one out there, but you're never winning a series with Cale Makar getting 3 points. You're just never going to win. You're never going to win.
He had 5 points in 7 games.
Wow! Wow! That's so good! Jesus. Like, they have to do some serious looking in the mirror this offseason. You lost all your prospect pool. You lost all your draft capital, and you have nothing to show for it except another year of Charlie Coyle. Looks good on you.
And yeah, Brock Nelson's gonna go to free agency. Yeah, we never did our predictions. Like, we were able to record a podcast before the playoffs started, but I think you and I both, Schmitty, were like, I think the Avs can win this series. Like, I'm not surprised it went to 7 games. Like, it was truly a great series. Like, that game 6 was also fucking crazy. Like, that goal that just went off of everyone in Dallas that McKinnon scored. And I thought they could have won that series. And another thing that's not getting talked about is their power play stunk. Like, you could have iced that game. Mm-hmm.
Terrible. A lot of looking in the
Yeah.
mirror.
I mean, Colorado had like all the tools to win that series, and they just choked. I thought they were going to win. I had them in winning in 6 or 7,
Mm-hmm.
but
Because in theory, like we said, Reagan, like, if you don't have Robertson or Heiskanen, like, you should win that series.
That's
you
your
should.
chance to win. Yeah.
They don't have their 27-minute defenseman. Like, come on, man.
Dude, you let a team with a right side of Cody Cece, Ilya Labushkin, and Matt Dumba win. Or was Matt Dumba even playing? Oh, I'm sorry, Alex Petrovic. Like, yeah, that was your series to win. Again, could have gone either way, but when you're up 2-0 in game 7, you gotta close that out, man. Like, they completely remade that whole team, whether that was goaltending, they added at the deadline, they switched their centers, and still not good enough. Like their top, like their high end talent is the best in the NHL, whether that's Makar or McKinnon. And like to me, like that goes back to them treating Mikko Rantanen. I think they could have used a performance like that in game 7 instead of bites you right square in the ass. And now you got another long off season to think about it. Like not a lot of assets. I think they traded their first round pick for this year. No Callum Ritchie to look forward to. Yeah, I don't know what you do in Colorado. A lot of looking in the mirror, a lot of soul searching, I think.
Speaking of soul searching, I want to transition to another series that I think.
Oh, and before we do that, one of the craziest stats ever: Pete DeBoer 9-0 in Game 7s.
He's not a real coach. He's genuinely not a real coach. It's insane. Conference final merchant. It's insane.
No, he's made the cup final a couple times.
No, but he's made more conference finals. That was more the point I was making. But
yeah,
he's a hell of a coach. I mean, you and I were saying if they lost the series, we were praying to God he got fired because that's number one coach.
We were at an Xbox party of like shit if Dallas, like when Colorado was up 2-0. I was like, damn, like we're 20 minutes away from Pete DeBoer being the Hawks head coach. And not so cool. Not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend. Just a wild series, and I mean, I know what series I want to talk about next. I think you want to talk about it too.
That's kind of where I wanted to go with like the whole killer
look in the mirror.
Thing. Yeah. You want to take the lead on this one?
Oh, I would love to take the lead on it. So, when was the last time a team lost an entire presidential term to a hockey team? Genuinely want to know. It's pathetic,
dude.
Genuinely,
when we beat the Wild 3 years in a row, one, it wasn't a full presidential term, and shit, even the Wild won 2 playoff series. I mean, like they haven't won any since then, but like shit, like even the Bruins have been nice and have like spread out like them beating the Leafs over a decade, 4 years in a row. The first year and went game 7, second year went game 6, third year went game 5. Well, it didn't go a sweep, but Edmonton did win 4 games in a row to close out that series. Like I said off the top, like honestly, like being in Edmonton, I'm like the Oilers have basically been my second team. Going into this playoffs, I flat out thought the Kings were going to beat them. Like this was their year. And even like the most optimistic of Oilers fans, it's like, yeah, we can do it. But if this is the year for the Kings to win, it's certainly this one. Like Matthias Ekholm was out. Everyone is kind of underperforming besides Leon Draisaitl, who's a Hart Trophy candidate. Like everything was in your favor to win that series. You got home ice for the first time. The LA Kings, who I kind of doubt at the beginning of the season, were like this defensive juggernaut, impossible to beat at home, and has a Vezina finalist and like just all this depth in their lineup, like a very deep team. And for the first 8 periods of the series, the LA Kings said, "You're right. We're going to win this series." And like, we're talking about killer instinct here. Like, I don't even know if this is a thing of, oh, the Kings are like the Oilers are better than the Kings now. I think it's flat out just mental now. Like, we talk about the seed of doubt. Even though the Oilers did lose game 1, the Kings won. Like, I think the seed of doubt was planted when the Kings were up 5-2 and the Oilers just about damn near came back. Reminds me of game 5 of Anaheim and Chicago. Yeah, Chicago did lose that game when they scored 2 late goals. They lost in overtime, planted the seed of doubt, and they won the next 2 games, won that series. All these things that I've gone the way of the Kings in this series. Like, there is no excuse not to win that series. Like, you had to win that series. And shit happens in a playoff series. Like, it's never going to go perfect. Like, they could have easily swept that series or ended that series in 5. Like, that head coach challenge that for goal interference, one of the stupidest things ever. Like, there's so many gray area calls in the playoffs. Like, what is goalie interference? And like everyone on the timeline, like all the insiders, all the analysts were like, I don't get why you would challenge that. You give this Oilers team an inch and they'll take a mile. Well, in this case, give them a centimeter, they'll take a kilometer. They let him tie the game. Evan Bouchard 10 seconds later and scores a goal. You know what? It happens. It's the Oilers. They're going to win a game. Tough decision, but hey, we can come back, win game 4, and go back into LA and win game 5. You're up 3-1 going into the third. You're still up 3-2. Like, Quentin Byfield has so much time to get this puck out, and it just doesn't happen. Like, the Kings have done so many things right, but just these mental absence, whether it's by their coach or by their players, cost them that series. Oilers score with, I think, 25 seconds left. Bouchard, just a piss missile from the point. And then just a complete 180 of that series. Like, McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard was backpacking that team for the first 4 games. And then, like, from that moment on, like, the Kings could barely roll out 3 lines and like barely roll out 3 defensive pairings. And the Oilers were just going 4 lines heavy, just out skating the Kings. They pretty much played a perfect row game in game 5. And then in game 6, like, just a classic Oilers game, shoot out the lights, a lot of goals, and they win that 6-4. Like, just an unmitigated disaster by the Kings. They should have not lost that series. I'm rambling on. What were your guys' thoughts on that series?
2 major points. Big one was the shift to Calvin Pickard. I think made a major difference in this series. Stuart Skinner was not. He's just not an NHL.
He should not see the net for the rest of the playoffs. Like, as long as the Oilers go, it should be Pickard.
He shouldn't. He should never see the net again. And
you had your chance and you blew it.
This goes back to Stan Bowman being like, we don't need to trade for a goalie at the deadline. This is the same shit.
No, he's too busy dodging a fucking subpoena, but like.
Okay, but I just think there's 2 major, like, all right, there's just 3 major factors now that I'm thinking about it. One was that. 2, the Oilers actually got depth scoring this series, which you just can't say a lot. I think Evander Kane coming back,
180. Yeah.
Vasily Podkolzin had 4 points. Connor Brown had 3 goals. Like, Evan Bouchard had 4 goals. Like, if you get 4 goals out of Evan Bouchard, yeah, you should win that series. You can argue McDavid and Draisaitl had down series and they had 11 and 10 points. It's just a reality of what this team is at times. And all they need is just a couple saves and a lot of depth scoring. And just to show you, 18 out of 20 players that iced in that first round have a point in that series. That's how you win hockey games. That's how you win series. And this goes to my next point, which is Jim Hiller should not be the coach of this team anymore. Plain and simple. They fired. They usually agreed to get rid of Rob Blake, but this is entirely on coaching. You do not shorten your bench against a team like this because they will run you into the ground. And the craziest part is the Kings have the depth to go 4 lines, and he chose not to.
No, we don't want to play Brand Clark or Jordan Spence, even though they scored goals in the series. No.
Terrible.
Rather play the corpse of Drew Doughty.
Drew Doughty wasn't even bad this series. That's the worst part. He was actually good, but it's just like outside of the Trevor Moore line, they were just a fucking anchor 5-on-5 all around. God bless Darcy Kemper because he was the only reason they were even in this series to begin with. What was it? Game 5, he made 20 saves in the first period.
Yeah.
Like, goodness gracious. Like, he's just sitting there like, y'all couldn't give me any fucking help, could you? Like, it's insane.
LeBron picture, no help.
But this goes back to what we were talking about with the Blackhawks, right? Like, you need to build these habits now. And the Kings don't have these habits. They don't. They don't know how to finish a hockey game. They don't know how to close out a game. They haven't won a playoff series since
2014.
Even worse than that. The Hawks have won a playoff series since then, and they have been in the 20s.
And we're not even counting the play-in, like, or the bubbles. Like,
pathetic.
Like, we talk about 4 years in a row of them being swept by the Oilers. They got swept by Vegas in 2018 as well. Like,
that should have been the wake-up call.
Yeah,
and it was. Yeah. It was. They did sell. And then, so this comes back to, I keep bringing it back to the Hawks, but remember there was that time when everyone was like, we need to hang on to everyone. Look at what the Kings are doing. Look where it's got them. 0 playoff series wins. They're just kind of in perpetual hell like the Wild are. And the talent they have isn't going to put them over the hump. It's plain and simple. Like, they need Byfield to take.
Speaking of a team that hasn't won a playoff series in a decade, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to them next. But It's just they're in a position right now. Like Kuzmenko had 6 points in 6 games. Like if you heard that at the deadline, you're jumping for joy. Kempe had 9. Kopitar had 9.
He was incredible.
Dano had 8. You should win this fucking series with those numbers. But no, they couldn't.
Fiala 7. Yeah.
They couldn't. And they just didn't have the depth. I think shortening your back end hurt them immensely. They're not the 2015 Blackhawks. You don't have 4 horses on your back end. You can't fucking put them all in 25 minutes a night. That's what makes the 2015 Blackhawks team so special. There's not a team in the league that can run 4 defensemen into the ground like that and succeed. It's just not. It's not possible. I think the Lightning were the closest team to doing it when they won, but even then, they had good depth on those teams. They had, like, as much as we give them shit, Jan Rudo is a good 5'6" and on a cup-winning team. The Kings do not have that. They do not have that, and their coach does not have faith in their kids to fill those roles. So you need a new coach in the system, but they're not going to do it, and they're just going to be in the same spot next year. Because if we're being honest, this is the year they should have went over the hump. Their defensive scheme was incredible. Darcy Kemper's a Vezina finalist. He's playing the best hockey he's ever played in his career, and you got him for Pierre-Luc Dubois and saved $3 million cap. None of it matters. None of it matters. And now you're back to the drawing board again. I think you and I keep coming to it. The Kings should probably blow it up if they're being honest. You should probably make some legitimate changes, and the Hawks should be all over that if they're doing it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And so should every other NHL team. Like, the Kings have so many underrated pieces. Like, I would take a Fiala. I would take a Kempe. I would take you in particular would take a Trevor Moore. I would take Philip Deneau. Like, fuck. Like, I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about the 3rd overall pick. Like, how many players realistically would you trade that 3rd overall pick for? I would trade it for Quentin Byfield straight up. Don't care. Elias Pettersson's it up. But like, that's another discussion for another day. But like,
I don't think I would.
You know what I mean, right? There's
and
so many good pieces.
Yeah. I'm going to stop you right there. I wouldn't trade the 3rd overall pick for Quentin Byfield. I love him. I think he's going to be great. But if you're trading the 3rd overall pick, it's for Pettersson or it's for Pasternak, and that's it. Yeah, plain and simple. It better be for a fucking superstar if you're trading number 3. But this is the point. They don't have a superstar. This is why they're in that situation. Anze Kopitar is like 40 years old. Like, you have to start making some decisions. It's unfortunate, but this is the reality. The Hawks had to do this 4 years ago. You should have done it 4 years ago as well, when all the kids were getting drafted. But no, they decided to keep the kids together or keep the game together and try to get one more run at the cup, and you're never going to get that run in this. Not even with the Oilers. We're not even talking about Vegas. Vegas would have thumped their ass in round 2 if they got out of that series. Like, there's level. Like, I say it as a joke all the time. There's levels to this shit. There's levels to this shit, and they're a tier underneath, unfortunately. And it sucks because like you said, there's a lot of talent that we like on that team. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, it's literally like, sorry, you go, Reagan.
I was gonna say, we've said it a couple of times. It just gets to a point where you just have to blow it all up. And like, when do you get to that point? Like, when do you realize you've gotten to that point? Because I feel like we all see that they've gotten there, but I don't think they've necessarily realized it themselves.
Like, here, let's play a game. How many players have over 50 points on the Kings this year? Give you a hint. The Hawks have more.
No fucking shit.
Really?
Okay. Wow.
That's pretty bad.
They have 4 players over 50 points.
Jeez.
You're never going to win a Stanley Cup like that. I don't care how good defensively you are. The only team that has ever won with that few of scoring in the last decade is the 2015 Blackhawks.
I was going to say the Blues. Like,
no, the Blues had Tarasenko was point a game that year.
Yeah.
Tarasenko had 85 points.
I'm just thinking like pure like superstar talent. Like the Blues is probably the closest
I agree with that.
thing.
Okay, that part I agree with. I thought you were talking point totals. My bad.
Yeah.
But this is the point. Like, this is the point. There's a time when you're in a rock and a hard place and you have to make a decision. There's going to be – this is the perfect time to do it. We talked about this when the Hawks fired Stan Bowman. New GM, he's not attached to any of these guys.
Please give us Kevin Fiala.
For the love of God, please. Like, oh, my God. I would do backflips if we got that fucker. Holy shit.
He needs to collect all the Central Division team stones. Chicago's next on the list. He can do the other teams once he's, like, walked and fallen off for his retirement tour.
Jeez Louise, dude. It's a tough situation for a team to be in. But they got to be the most intriguing team this offseason. You have to think. I think them and the Devils, they're probably up there. I think there's a lot of teams right now that are in that spot where they need to get over the hump, and they're not getting there. And, I kind of want to touch on the Devils series next, if y'all don't mind, because
sure, of course.
Those are two teams that are going to have to make some very tough decisions coming up. You look at a team like New Jersey, obviously health was a big factor in this series. You can't even deny that. Like, you don't have your best player.
We can lend them a mulligan for that series. Like, I'm surprised they made the playoffs. Like, yeah, and
But
won a game.
You look at a team like them in Carolina, they're never going to get over the hump unless they make some bigger moves or they have a culture shift or something of that nature. Carolina clearly has a glass ceiling with the way they've built their roster. They could beat Washington next round. I firmly believe they can. I believe they can. But who's going to put them over the top?
Past Florida or even fuck if Toronto gets through.
And I think the reason that Carolina had so much success this series is because we talk about it every year with Carolina. Who's going to step up for them? Who is going to put, like Rod Brindamore says it at the end of every fucking postseason. Someone needs to step up and be the guy. Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov did just that in the first round. That's how you're going to win a Stanley Cup with that team, with your best players leading you from the front. It's not going to come from Jordan Martinook having this incredible postseason, or it's not going to come from Eric Robertson getting your chipping goals. It's going to come from your stars being the catalyst to your success. Can't talk, but and it happened in round one. Granted, probably the easiest round one opponent, just in terms of where they're at. Like Markstrom did everything he could to keep him in that fucking series, but just wasn't going to happen. Yeah. And I think that's why this Washington series is going to be a real wake-up call for them, because Washington has depth. Washington has goaltending. Washington has defense. Washington doesn't have the yips like New Jersey does. They have different types of yips, but they know how to overcome them. And Carolina has not learned that yet. Yeah, Carolina beat them in 2019. This is a different team than it was in 2019. Both sides.
That is 2 presidential terms ago.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God, that was a Trump term ago. Jesus.
Dude, Trudeau was still prime minister.
Trudeau. But I just think like that series was a real wake-up call for me for Carolina. Because if they're going to win the Stanley Cup, it's going to be because of that. And it's going to be because of Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson was fucking incredible in that series.
Got a new contract out of it.
If he can stay healthy, that's perfect for them. But at the end of the day, like, if they don't win this year, they're in the same spot the Kings are in. Just they've won a couple more rounds. Let's be honest.
They're literally right now the Kings, but we've won around every year as Rod Brindamore is our head coach. Like, that's truly great consistency that you've at least won a playoff round, and I think they have 2 conference finals appearances, but no one's beyond the second round. So like, you got to change that. Like, let's take the steps. Like, let's at least win a conference final game and go from there.
Yep. And I look at their team. They won a round with being led by their guys. Svechnikov, 5 goals in 5 games. That's exactly how you're going to win a series.
That's exactly what you need.
Sebastian Aho, 8 points in 5 games. That's how you're going to win a Stanley Cup. Right there. Got the overtime winner in game 5. Like, this is how you win games. Like, I don't think the Hawks are ever winning a cup if Taves or Kane aren't the catalysts on that team. Like, the only year it wasn't was 2013, and Kane was still elite, and Taves just couldn't score. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you need people to step up, and you need your stars to lead you. And I can confidently say every time the Hawks won the cup, there was 1 star that was leading them, or 2. Taves in 2010, Kane in 2013, Keith in 2015. Their stars led them to cups. And I think a lot of these teams need to realize that. Like, Edmonton is the perfect example. Edmonton doesn't go anywhere if McDavid's not performing at a world beater level. But it's more than that. And the pieces are coming together for Carolina. I think Stankoven had a good series. I think Jackson Blake had a good series. I think Taylor Hall's been incredible depth for them. I'm very happy that he got an extension there.
As well. Yeah.
Mark Jankowski's been good for them. You look at some guys that haven't even been performing. Like, Jesperi Kotkaniemi had 1 point in 5 games.
You need a little bit more out of him.
8-year deal.
Yeah.
Got to figure it out. Jordan Staal, no points in 5 games. Got to figure it out.
He's more a defensive guy, but yeah, you would like a goal or 2 from him in a series.
Agreed. But at the same time, this is why this Washington series, I think, is going to be very pivotal for them. It's good they got out of round 1, but at the same time, this isn't.
They've done that every year.
This is
But
where they always end up. They're the
Mhm.
second round kings. Figure it out. And I think this Washington team, they can figure it out against. It's just going to be tough. You have to have everyone performing. And also Seth Jarvis, 5 points in 5 games. Like, yeah, he's consistent as hell.
Jarvis, activate dog mode.
Jackson Blake, 4 points in 5 games. You know how high I am on Jackson Blake. I think that's a hell of a hockey player right there. We're going to look at Jackson Blake in 3 years, and he's going to be a 60-point guy, and we're just going to be like, yep. It just shows in this game. Goes to the net, strong on the puck, wicked hands, will do whatever they want, and that's why he's glued to Aho and Jarvis. Plain and simple. Sorry, I just wanted to talk about the Canes because I just think they're such an intriguing team right now in terms of what direction they could go. Because they're in the same position as LA. They fucking traded for Ranson and had him for a month. Like, we don't even talk about that. If all those picks they traded from Dallas should be traded, genuinely, for roster players when the season's over.
They should have, but they didn't. This offseason, that needs to be a thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant out the Hurricanes, but been on my mind for a little bit.
Here comes the Hurricane, bitch.
Like, interesting to me because they're that team that, like, every single year they have all the tools and then they get to the playoffs and they go, this is going to be their year. And then, like, either second round or the conference finals, they, like, just can't put it together. And I just don't understand how it's every single year.
There's been double the amount of lockouts that Carolina's had conference final wins. So, since their last one, I think that speaks volumes. There's been a pandemic since the last time they've won the conference final. Once again, like we said, it's a glass ceiling with a lot of these teams, and you got to punch through it. Vegas figured out how to punch through it. Edmonton's figuring out how to punch through it. Florida figured out how to punch through it. Tampa figured out how to punch through it. The great teams do. For being honest, I think the Leafs are figuring out how to punch through it right now. They look like a different team this playoff. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I love to give that team shit, but
I wanted it to go to Game 7 so badly, but then there's like the little part of me, like, there's so much talent that team. Like, one of these years, at least a conference final or something.
Yeah. William Nylander, 12 points in 7 games. This is how you win a Stanley Cup. Austin.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple. Top 3 scorers for the Leafs right now. Nylander, 12 points. Marner, 9 points. Matthews, 7 points. That's how you win a fucking Stanley Cup right there. This is the point I'm trying to make. You need to be the stars need to be your catalyst. It can't be the fucking third liner. It can't be Matthew Nyes. It has to be your best players. And that's why I have a little bit of faith in Carolina this year, because it looks like the big dogs came to play on their team. Just like the Leafs.
Well, with Carolina, the thing is, like, they probably have the highest floor out of any team in the NHL. Like, we know they're going to be a team that's like, they're going to be in a divisional spot. They're probably going to be flirting with 50 wins, and like, they're going to make it past the first round. But again, haven't done anything more than that. And like, yeah, if we want to talk about the Leafs, like, yeah, you got your top 3 players doing what they do: Nylander, Marner, and Matthews, but. Yeah, you need your stars to be great, but every now and then you need a Max Domi overtime goal. You need a Simone Benoit overtime goal. Like, you need your great players to be great, and then you need your depth players to contribute a big goal every now and then. And
15 points from their defense in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
That too, which they didn't have this regular season.
Nope. Playoff Morgan Riley, we all know what that is. He's always he knows how to turn that gear on. Jake McCabe, hopefully he's healthy because he's been great for them. Ekman Larson, great for them. Matthew Nyes, goal scoring machine.
Dog. Like, he's like, every time he steps on the ice, like,
another game winning goal for him.
Yeah. Like, hundreds of thousands of dollars going up on his contract every time he steps on the ice. And still, like, if they don't get something done, I throw like as much as I can for the like conversation for first, second, and third. Like, I would pay him 9 point whatever for 7 years. I believe in him that much.
Matt Nyes had almost 33 season. Playoff goal scorer, has just so many tricks in his bag. That number starts with a 7.
At least, yeah. Like if I'm
probably
his camp,
starts with
I'm
an
like,
8 if you want to get him long term. But
I'm at least like, you got to give us $50 million. Like, that's where we start. How you want to divvy that up over 6, 7, 8 years? Like, that's up to you. But we want $50 million. Like, yeah.
They're in a good spot right now, man. And obviously, you kind of mentioned it earlier with a couple teams. Florida's planting that seed of doubt to an extent, but Oh man, if your stars are rolling the way they are, this is how we all thought they should be in the playoffs. Like this is how they play in the regular season. High end talent leading them from the front, and then you just get your chips in from everywhere else. This is how this team was always built to be. I think it's just all finally coming together. And I think the Sens series was a wake-up call. I genuinely think it was a wake-up call. I think game 5, they saw that and they said, nope, we're not letting that fucking happen again. We're not. They shot that shit in the ass. Their stars led them to a victory in game 6. And I think that is not getting stated enough. Their stars led them to a win. Both playoff series wins that they've had in this era have been because their stars have all stepped up to the plate. That series against Tampa, Marner went crazy. Matthews went crazy. This series, it was Nylander and Tavares. Went nuts. This is how you win hockey series. Plain and simple. And I think it took almost a decade, but they might be figuring it out finally. And shout out Ottawa. Ottawa put up way more of a fight than they should have. Every game was a 1-goal game. That team is in the right direction.
They could have won that series. Like that could have been flipped around where they won. Yeah.
Olmark kind of put his haters to silence.
Game 5 shutout.
Yeah.
What's up, Reagan?
Sorry, I really wanted that series to go to game 7 because it was just such a fun
we all did
series.
Yeah.
I thought when Perot's had the game, I was like, uh-oh.
Me too. Hey, like speaking of like Max Domi overtime winner, Simone Benoit overtime winner, Max Pacioretty series winning goal.
First goal pre-Christmas.
Like you need your superstars to be great, but then you need that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Leafs are in the Leafs. If you're the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, you have to be feeling pretty good. Even with Stolarz having a concussion. This is why you have the tandem of him and Woll to begin with. So if this happens, you're fine.
And you got Hilda Beastad third string, baby. Woo!
Yeah, but the way the team's playing in front of them can't help be in. If you're a Leafs fan, to have some confidence, which is hard for any Leafs fan to ever say, but it's true. And I want to point out one more thing with the Sens too. Their stars came to play. Tkachuk, we knew he was going to perform. Stützle, I thought, looked great towards the end of the series. Finally was starting to throw the body around. People forget he's like 6'2". Like he's a big kid. He can throw the weight. He just chooses not to. I thought Shabbat and Sanderson had great series. They were getting depth scoring. Yeah. I thought Tyler Clevin was very good that series, honestly. Ottawa's got pieces going forward. And if they make the smart moves, you're having Giroux's contract come off the books. You're going to have some cap space to potentially go get another asset to that forward core. Dude, they should be in the playoffs every year going forward. With the way this team played this year, they took tremendous steps. And if I'm an Ottawa Senators fan, if you told me a year ago they're going to hire Travis Green and make the playoffs and almost beat the Leafs, I'm going to laugh in your face. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's the step. Like it's the step they finally need to be like, okay, we're doing things right now, because like they haven't been like bottom of the barrel the last few years. It's just like, oh, maybe this is the year the Senators make the playoffs, and then they just fall short. So I think it's like really great for them, a team that's had like a lot of like off ice instability, finally have that stability in that now. It's like, oh, now we got a good team, a very young core going forward, and hopefully they stay there, because like seeing Ottawa in the playoffs with Canadian Tire center rocking, we need more of that, I think.
Agreed. And
like they had the pieces to do it. You got the goalie. I think they got the defense, that left side of Sanderson, Shabbat is gross, and like you got your star winger with Brady Tkachuk, who clearly wants to be there as much, as I kind of wanted the Senators to fall off and like him being a trade target for the Hawks, and I think so many other teams would, but like Tkachuk wants to stay there, Stützle wants to stay there. Like, yeah, a lot of promise there in Ottawa.
100%. And I think it kind of brings it to the next Canadian team that we should probably talk about, because if we told you in January Montreal is going to make the playoffs, I don't think anyone believes you. And they were
like on par with the Hawks. Like it was not going well. And so was Ottawa, really. Like they had some crazy rises at the end.
Played a very competitive series with Washington. I know it only went, I think, 5 games, but
it's about as competitive a 5-game series as you can make it.
100%. And your stars came to play. I mean, Suzuki and Caulfield, we know they have that clutch factor. Slavkovsky, I thought, played great towards the end of that series. Lane Hudson had his moments as well. Montembeault getting hurt sucks. I'm going to be honest. Like that's no fun, but especially because of how good he was this year. But this is a team where if they get a legit 2C, going to be a problem because
fuck, maybe it's a healthy Kirby Doc. Like
maybe if I'm Montreal, I'm not taking that chance again. That's for sure. I
no,
want some
no.
insurance. And there's a lot of insurance to get. I think 2C is one of the easier positions to go get in the market. But this is a roster that you're going to look at in a couple years and just be like, yeah, they're loaded. They're loaded. And people forget they have Jacob Fowler in their system, and he has just been downright elite at Boston College and in the AHL. When that kid hits the NHL, it's going to be a problem as a goalie.
Still got Reinbacher, you got Michael Hage. I'm missing some. You got Phil. I don't know how well Philip Machard's doing, but like the point is like they got the talent now on their team, and they still got a lot of talent on the way. So yeah, they're gonna be really good and real good in a hurry. Like talk about Ottawa being like, oh, finally they got the results. Like Montreal to me, like this would be best case scenario for the Hawks. Again, everything just comes together, and you got this young team with a bunch of young studs in the playoffs.
Agreed.
And again, like the atmosphere at Bell Center, just amazing.
First playoff game in a full house since 2017, I believe. So
yeah,
pretty legit times for Habs fans, but also I don't want to see them suck because I can't stand the fan base. So we'll see. But, and we didn't even mention that Ivan Demidov is over at 19, which I don't think anyone would have ever expected 2 years ago. I think this new precedent that's coming of stars in Russia being able to get out of their contracts is big. Nikishin did it as well. I know he's not playing, but he made that move. You look at Matvei Mishkov, he did the same thing. This is going to be a trend. So, you can draft the KHL elite forward. He might actually come over now. Because I think these teams are starting to realize that there's no reason to hold them hostage.
Again, I think like if anything, I would have more concerns about drafting a college player, like potentially leaving my organization, like Cutter Gauthier or now Isaac Howard. So
Rucker McGordy. It's multiple cases of this now. It's not like a couple years ago when it's Jimmy VC is the one doing it. It's legit talent now. That's
first round picks, yeah. And in the case of Gauthier, like a top 5 pick.
And it should be noted that a lot of these top picks in this draft are going to college. So better do your homework because if they don't want to be there, they have full control over that. And I'm genuinely curious how that would work if, let's say, Porter Martone doesn't want to sign in Utah, let's say, and he plays 4 years in college and gets to be a free agent. Colossal failure if that ever occurs for a team. That's all I'm going to say.
Gotta do your homework. That's for true.
I mean, for God's sake, Philly should be getting way more shit for the Cutter Gauthier situation. Cutter Gauthier had a great year in Anaheim, and Jamie Drysdale is a number 5 defenseman. So great job. Looks good on you. Looks real good on you, especially since Anaheim had 3 horses on that back end you could have traded for, and you got the worst one of the bunch. So nice job, guys. Looking good. That's why you're picking 6 this year. Sorry, I wanted to dunk on Philly real quick. But sorry, continue.
I was gonna say like Isaac Howard. Like I wonder what's happening there in Tampa because like you think in Tampa Bay that's a perfect situation to step in, but I think the thing is like he's probably not getting guaranteed top 6 minutes, and they don't want to burn a year off the ELC. So like I think that's a big point of contention right now. And we've like talked a lot about it a lot with the Hawks, like getting to that first contract quicker.
Ben Pope mentioned it. I think Davidson's starting a new precedent with that. Who gives a shit? Just sign him, get him in the system. And with the Hawks, I think it's a little easier because if you're someone like a Frank Nazar or an Oliver Moore, you're looking and it's like, yeah, I could be
top 6 minutes. Yeah,
I could be on this roster. But for a team like Tampa Bay Lightning, it's a little harder. Like, let's be honest, it's just the ELC is way more important. So he's getting traded at the draft. I have such a gut feeling on that.
I would like the Blackhawks to target him. Like, there could be a way that they could get him without trading that Toronto first. Like, they could package their seconds and get him. Like, because I think Julian Brisebois said if they do let him go to free agency, I think they just get a 2nd round pick as compensation. So, I mean, maybe you do trade out late first and get him, or maybe you package it 2 seconds. I don't know, but I think there could be an avenue for the Blackhawks to get an Isaac Howard. All right, we just took a break there. The last series we haven't touched on is Vegas, Minnesota. I don't know who wants to take the lead on that, but
Well, I love taking the
okay.
lead. Sorry. But
Yeah.
also I did watch a good amount of that series, so I can speak on it. This was a series that I think it just showed Minnesota's ceiling.
Yeah.
Because they had all the guys that needed to score. They got all the performances they needed out of their guys.
It wasn't good enough.
Still wasn't enough. You held Mark Stone to without a goal in the first 4 games of the series. You held Jack Eichel to 1 point in 4 games. I think you and I kept making the joke. It was like, what was it, Mikko Rantanen's son or Marty Nage's daughter? And it's like, nah, Jack Eichel's son.
They them.
Yeah, Jack Eichel non-binary. Like this, it's crazy. But they both turned it on when it mattered most. Aiden Hill, I don't even think was that great in this series.
No.
It's a series where the Wild are going to look back and think they should have had that one. Genuinely.
Where have I heard this before? The Minnesota Wild up 2-1 in a series.
Never heard in my life. But like Kaprizov and Boldy were nuts the first 3 games. Boldy kind of ghosted after that. Can't have that if you want to win playoff series. I thought Joel Eriksson didn't look 100%. I think he's still hurt. That always hinders the team. I think the biggest thing that we need to talk about is let's play a game, guys. Guess how many points they got from defensemen this series?
5 points, I'm going to guess.
6.
It's pretty damn close. Point per game for your whole defensive core.
Brock Faber had no points in this series. Brock Faber has a lot of looking in the mirror to do this year.
Again, not that you're expecting him to be Cale Makar, but like you need a goal or 2 and like 2 or 3 assists from.
You need to
play,
drive
especially
play.
if you want to go far. Yeah,
he
needs to be. He needs to be more like Cam Fowler.
Yeah, and Z Boyum, I thought had it's his first taste of NHL hockey. That's a lot to ask for out of a 19-year-old.
Baptism by fire. Like I don't even know if you can properly evaluate him. Like he's not Cale Makar. Like you're not coming in right away and like taking over a series.
I think this is where I have to question what Minnesota's doing because they don't have the depth. They don't. I don't care what you see on paper. They don't have the depth. They traded for Gustav Nyquist. He didn't have a single point in the playoffs. It's a colossal failure. You look at Justin Brazeau, 2 assists. It's not good enough. Matt Zuccarello, I can't count the amount of times that dude fanned on a shot in this series when he had a wide open look. There's a reason no one covers Matt Zuccarello when he gets the puck because they know he's not going to shoot that thing. They know he's looking for the pass, and they just glue off Kaprizov and Boldy and say, figure it out. And he couldn't figure it out. He had 1 goal and 2 assists in 6 games.
Yeah, I dare you to shoot. We're giving you all this space. I dare you.
They're just not good enough. They're not good enough. And this is a year where you needed to be good enough because, let's be honest, now the situation comes up. Kaprizov's eligible for extension July 1st. He signed that 5-year deal out the gate. We all thought like, okay, you're asking a lot out of him. And then this guy goes on to be exactly what we all thought he could be.
Oh, if we want to talk about wingers that like again can single-handedly like Kaprizov's probably right there in the top 5. Like he's not far behind like a Pasternak, a Rantanen, and Kucherov. Like he's that dynamic.
386 points in 319 games. He had a 108-point season under his belt. He's a 96
50-goal season.
3 straight 40-goal seasons.
Oh
no, right?
Bomber. Yeah.
And then he was hurt half the season this year. 25 goals, 31 assists.
Dude, he was getting heart consideration. Like if he were healthy, he would.
56 points in 41 games. You have the superstar and you can't build around him. And I'm going to be honest, it starts with getting him a center. Starts with getting him an actual center. And Joel Eriksson-Ek's a fantastic 2C. He is not a 1C. Marco Rossi, we have yet to see it, and that's not against him.
He's a 2C, ideally. Like, those should be your middle 6 centers. You need a star center. What year is this again? Like,
same issues there always have been with this team. And let's be honest, they're in a situation right now. Yeah, they're going to get all that cap space. Like, you can go make a move like that now, but you better pray to God Kaprizov signs that extension. Better pray to God, or else you're going to be in a Tavares situation.
Well, their owner said they would give him the most money, so we're going to see that put to the test.
We'll see how much money talks for Kaprizov. That's all I'll say. Because I'll tell you one thing: there's a lot of players where money doesn't matter. Tavares left $14 million on the table. for the Sharks 7 years ago.
Mhm.
This is a real thing that happens in this league. There's a certain point when money isn't the answer to everything. And I think Kaprizov seeing these first round exits, seeing the team that he's been built around, I think he's going to take that into legit consideration going forward because he is too good of a player to have his prime wasted like this. And I think we're going to have that same conversation. We've already kind of having that conversation with Panarin right now. I think you and I were talking about this a couple nights ago. Kaprizov's going to be in that same boat in 3 years if he doesn't make some legit decisions with his career. And he has to put himself before the team, I think. And the Wild better fucking make some moves because you cannot afford to lose this player. If you do, you are in the basement going forward because I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of these prospects that are still very big question marks. I'm looking at Jesper Wallstedt for starters. I don't think Jesper Wallstedt is as high of a goalie as we thought he would be 4 years ago.
Yeah, it could change.
It could change.
But
Like
again,
he and
not a
Gustafson
certain-
could be an elite tandem, but all I know is that my demon on my team has all of your goalies' numbers, and that team's only getting better. Utah's only getting better. Colorado's still Colorado. Winnipeg's still Winnipeg. And then St. Louis is the biggest wild card of the bunch. And then Nashville's just kind of there. But do you want to be at the top or do you want to be where Nashville is right now? Because that's the direction. It's once again, it's that rock in a hard place conversation. You need to make some legit decisions with this roster or else you're going to look at this team in 3 years and just say, wow, a decade's gone by and we're in the exact same spot, like you said.
And we pissed into the wind.
Haven't won a playoff series in 8 years.
10 years.
I was being nice, but you can
Gotta
twist
hit
the knife even
cold
more.
hard facts. Yeah,
Twist the
Blackhawks
knife
have
even
still
more.
won. Yeah, Blackhawks have still won a playoff series more recently than the Wild, and that's not even counting for the bubble round.
So it's,
Yeah, I think
it
it's
comes back to depth scoring, comes back to the way the roster is constructed. I don't know who the GM is in Minnesota right now, but
Bill Guerin.
shouldn't even have a job. But we'll not even get into that. A lot of questions, and you know what the worst part is? The last guy you should probably blame is John Hines because John Hines got the most he could out of this team.
Dude, I don't know how you blame him, man. Like, kept that team in the hunt for the entire year despite all those injuries. I don't know. Yeah, that's tough.
Also, my elite 21-year-old defenseman should not be getting outscored by Jared Spurgeon. Ever.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be a hater. Like, they have David Juracek in the system. They have great prospects, but, like, does not matter if you don't have a 1 seed. Does not matter if you don't have someone. It's the same thing we're talking about with Bedard, man. Like, he doesn't have that horse to run with him. Boldy's the closest thing he has, and you can't do it with 2 wingers. We've learned this time and time again. Vegas fucking couldn't do it until they got Eichel.
Crazy.
They should be looking so hard in the mirror at themselves after that Vegas series because Vegas did what they're afraid to do, which is give up assets for a 1 seed. Make that fucking great leap forward. Take that risk. And I think Minnesota, like we talk about with a lot of these teams, they're so comfortable with being complacent because they sell out every game.
You want to talk about mid, like Minnesota to me, like really throughout their entire existence, like that's all they've been. Never bad to get a top 5 pick, but never good to win a Stanley. Fuck, even win a conference final game. Like that's the furthest they've gotten, and they got swept by the 03 Ducks because Josh Jaguar like let in 1 goal in 4 games or something crazy like that.
And like, let's go. Like, this is another problem with Minnesota. I want you to guess the leading rookie goal scorer on their team this year. How many points did you think he had? I'll give you a hint. It's Liam Ogren. So it's a pretty good player in theory, you know. How many points did he have?
21 points, I'm guessing. Did it actually? What?
5 points.
5 points. Okay.
No one else has a point.
Nice. I was trying to be nice.
2 goals, 3 assists in 25 games.
I think he'll be good, but yeah,
that's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a position right now where they
need now. Yeah.
Like they needed Liam Ogren to make the Frank Nazar jump. In theory, He didn't. They have Daniel Urov. Will he make that jump? Wait and see. I look at this team. They're just like LA. They're just like LA. It's funny that those 2 teams are attached at a big trade because I think they're both in the exact same spot after making that trade. Brock Faber, Kevin Fiala, be damned. Did not help your team whatsoever. But you know what? Keep being mid. Works for my team because my team will get better and your team will stay the same. So it's okay. We'll just take your star player in a year.
I was listening to 32 Thoughts, and I think Elliot Freeman said, like, he's heard from some people around the league, like, it would not surprise him if Kaprizov was the highest paid player in the NHL for, like, a brief amount when he hits free agency. Because I think,
Worth
like,
every penny.
Minnesota's going to have to pay a pretty penny to keep him. And if not that, he's hitting the market with the cap going up, like, 16 million, 17 million. Who fucking knows? Like,
They're going to have their chance to make the right decision, but even if you make the right decision, cool, you're paying Kaprizov $16 million, still doesn't have a 1C, still doesn't have depth, still doesn't have depth on the back end. You can't ask him to do everything. You just can't.
he was a winger. He's not even like a center or defenseman, yeah.
Let's look at another Russian winger where they asked him to do everything. It took them over a decade to figure it out. Don't take that long with this player because he's hitting his prime way sooner than he should be. Not that he should be, but it's more like he came over later. So you only have so many.
Oh yeah, he's been in his prime, and he will for like another 5 years at least.
Yep. I don't mean to dig in on the Wild, but it's another one of those teams where you got to take a long look in the mirror. You just really got to take a long look.
Oh, by the way, 1-0 Capitals. Alexei Protas.
Oh, he's healthy.
There you go. Yeah, we are recording this during game 1 of Hurricanes and Capitals, and I think the Oilers play Vegas in like an hour, but knowing like when the games actually start, it's probably going to be closer to 2 hours. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, we touched on all the first round series. I don't know if like there's any more thoughts, or we can kind of move on to the second round and see what we think.
Yeah, we can move to the second round.
Where do we want to start? I mean, we can start with the series that's already started. Maple Leafs are up 1-0, but I still think the Panthers win that in 6 games. Like,
yeah.
Panthers were down 1-0 last year against the Bruins. I think they lost 5-1, and they came back and just destroyed them. And I kind of expect the same thing, but I mean, who knows? Like, the Leafs, they got their stars rolling. They're getting the depth contributions. Like, hopefully Stolarz is okay. And even then, like, you're pretty comfortable with having Joseph Wolinets. So, again, like, there's a year for Toronto to break on through to the conference finals. It's this year.
Has to be. If it's not, then you're losing half your team. So, I think this team realizes where they're at. You're losing one of Tavares or Marner this offseason. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind on that. You have to capitalize on this, or else it's just going to be a colossal failure. You can't sign Tavares and not make a conference final. I'm sorry. It just can't. It can't happen. It can't happen. And that's why I think they're going to win this series. I think they're in a position to where their stars are performing at a high level. And if their stars are performing at a high level, they got as good of a chance as anyone every time. And I think if Florida is going to go through the same thing Tampa went through, they're going to go through the same thing the Hawks went through. 3 straight deep playoff runs eats at you, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, whether it's just the energy. They're going to hit a wall at some point. And I don't think any amount of physicality is going to help them stop that wall from hitting them. Like, we talk about it all the time, that Anaheim-Chicago series. No team can withstand that many hits. The good teams can. The good teams can. So we'll see. But Florida's got that devil magic, so it's just really hard to bet against them. But I think I'm picking
like, they just the way they handled Tampa, the depth they have, like, Seth Jones has legitimately looked great. Like, I think they're gonna bounce back and find a way to win. Like, man, like, I know, like, the discussion around Florida right now is like, oh, just how dirty of a team they are. And like, I agree with that, but also, like, they're more than that. They're incredibly talented. They're like very good two-way. Like, both Barkov and Reinhardt are Selke finalists. You got Ito Luosterainen and Anton Ladon on your third line that are very good, like, two-way forwards. And Brad Marchand has also been on that line. Like, they just have so much depth. Like, their defense is holding up, even with, like, missing Ekblad. Like, again, Seth Jones is taking that step, and Bobrovsky has been Bobrovsky. Like, I still think Florida's going to win this series, but I do think, like, if the Leafs win this series, like, I think winner goes to the Cup final. Because I think both of them are better than Carolina or Washington.
100% agree with that.
Reagan, what are you thinking? Who wins that series?
I think this would be Florida. I don't know. I think they've been so good all year, and just going back to last year, that I just don't see how they lose, to be honest.
It's definitely going longer than last series did. Like Florida just like bullied Toronto last time in 5 games. Like they're lucky even got to 5 games. I think it's going 6 or 7 regardless.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see the Leafs win. I just don't see how it happens.
I think a lot of Leafs fans are on the same boat with you with that.
Gotta see it to believe it.
Yeah. Apparently, their first time they've led a series beyond the first round since 2002.
Terrible team.
On to the series that's playing now. Washington, Carolina. To be honest, I don't know how much I care about the series, and I don't even know who I think is going to win. They are winning right now, but I think I'm going to go Washington. Washington in 6.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier. The Stars are leading the way. I think the Caps are playing with their food a little too much, and they've had that tendency since about March, and it seems to always be what they do. I think Carolina's just got. I think they're going to beat them again. I think it's Carolina in 7. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's not going to be something where a lot of teams are just over the top, but I just think if Carolina Stars are rolling the way they are right now, it's a hard team to beat because they play just a suffocating form of hockey when they're on their A game. So we'll see. But I think I'm picking Carolina in 7.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be a really close series regardless, and I could see it going either way. I think it goes to 7 no matter what, but I think Carolina's going to just barely edge them out.
It's just, I think all these series are like 6 or 7 games. Like, I don't see a single series and they'll be like, yeah, that's going to be a sweeper, 5 games. Like, there's a reason, like, they are the final 8 teams. Like, they earned their way there. Like, same thing with the Maple Leafs. Like, the Hurricanes, like, I want to see them go far. I don't know. I'm not really like feeling strong one way or another with Carolina or Washington. Onto the West, because I think the West is a lot more intriguing, a lot more open, a lot more of a bloodbath. Winnipeg and Dallas, who like barely won by the skin of their teeth. You know, like in this series, it could be who's going to be the goalie for Team USA at the Olympics next year, and I think Ottinger and Hellebuck are going to lock in, and we could potentially see a lower goal scoring series, more goaltending duos. I think Dallas just surviving that first round, and now you might get Haskin and Robertson back. I think they're going to go back to the conference finals for a third year in a row. But again, I think it goes 7. I think we deserve 7 games of the 2 best teams in the Central, and Hellebuck and Ottinger.
Dallas in 5. I'm sorry.
No, it's 5.
Your best player on your team is on a fucking heater. You're getting your best defenseman back. You're getting your second best winger back. I think their depth scoring is playing at a level that they're not getting talked about enough. I think the Sagan line's been playing great for them. I look at a team like Winnipeg. It's another team that's just playing with their food to an extent. And I trust Dallas Stars more than I do Winnipeg Stars. Kyle Connor can't do it all. And that's just the reality of the situation. I have more faith in Ottinger than I do Hellebuck at the moment. I think Dallas just 5-on-5 can be suffocating at times, and I don't think Winnipeg has that same juice in them like Dallas. And don't be surprised Dallas comes up to an early 2-0 series lead just because they're on such a momentum high. And I think that momentum of getting a Heiskanen back, of getting a Robertson back, it's going to light a fire under that entire room. Just gives them a whole nother level of depth. Like, think about it. Wyatt Johnston's not even playing at the level we know he can play at yet.
That's true. Yeah.
They're just so deep, and it's the same thing I say every year with Dallas. It's so hard to pick against them. It's so hard to pick against them on paper, and not only on paper now, but on ice because Hintz is on fire, Rantanen's on fire, Harley's been playing great. Jamie Benn's been playing solid for what role he's been diagnosed. You look at guys like Duchesne, Granlund. I think Granlund had a great first round in terms of like what we were expecting out of him. And you add a Robertson to that mix. And you look at Winnipeg's defense. Winnipeg's defense has always been their weakness. I got them in 5. I'm sorry. I think Dallas is going to cakewalk them in this series. And then the Schmitty jinx will kick in and Winnipeg will sweep them. So get excited.
I think Dallas in 6, just to give Winnipeg the benefit of the doubt for just building off the momentum from Game 7 versus St. Louis. But I don't know. I think Dallas has just been too good lately.
It would be so. I would love to see a Winnipeg Edmonton file conference final. I mean, Gary Bettwood would hate it, but like, I don't know. To me, like, I think Winnipeg needed to like beat those demons by winning the first round. Like, again, I think they're kind of on that high as well. Like, yeah, no doubt. I think Dallas is a better team on paper, but I think Winnipeg can push them to 6 or 7 games, and I want to see 7. So I'm going to say Dallas in 7.
Big factors in this series are going to be Mark Scheifele's health, Miro Heiskanen's health, and I think Wyatt Johnson and Cole Perfetti are just the difference makers in the series. Because if Cole Perfetti plays the way he did towards the end of that series in Winnipeg, gives him a whole other level of depth.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ehlers is a big factor in this series too. If Ehlers is on his A game, it's really hard to say that Winnipeg doesn't have the depth. Velarde's health's another big one. I know he's not 100% right now. It shows in the way he's playing. If he can hit that gear that we know he can hit, yeah, Winnipeg can make this a series. It's just I've seen Dallas hit that gear. I've seen and it's granted both these teams had their backs against the wall in Game 7 and 1, but I say it time and time again. There's levels to this shit, and Dallas is just so deep, and they have so much high end talent, and they have so much depth talent. Like the fact that you can confidently say Mason Marchment is your 9th best forward.
That's crazy.
It's an embarrassment of riches. I got Dallas in 5 still.
Last series, I think this is gonna be the most fun series to watch. Vegas, Edmonton, like again, like full out bloodbath. Like both of these teams were trailing in their respective series, and then they come back and win anyways. And like, as much as like I think Dallas is great, something tells me whoever comes out of this series is gonna win the Stanley Cup. Like happened last time they faced each other in 2023. Like Vegas, I don't want to say steamrolled them because the Oilers gave them the best challenge of their cup run, but like their depth and their defensive structure and Aiden Hill took over. But I think this time around it's different. Like Vegas is still a very good team. I think they have the depth that like obviously Los Angeles doesn't. So Edmonton's going to have their work cut out for them. But I don't know. I wasn't particularly like too encouraged by Vegas's play in round 1 against Minnesota. There's just something about Edmonton where they're rolling their 4 lines, and you can't even call Draisaitl McDavid bad. Like they were great, but I still think there's another level for them to reach. Like all they need is average goaltending from Calvin Pickard, and I think they can. I think it's gonna be a close series. I think it goes 7, but I gotta go Oilers at 7. Like completely down with them the first round. I think they can pull out this time.
You're gonna hate me, Pierce. Picking Vegas.
I mean, it could go either way. I'm not surprised if Vegas wins.
18 out of 19 skaters got a point for Vegas in the first round. Their depth cannot be understated. The fact that they have guys like Brandon Saad and Tanner Pearson, Stanley Cup champions, known for playoff performers as afterthoughts on this team, I think is not getting talked about enough. I think what's really not getting talked about enough is the 2 guys that are hitting. Like this goes back to the Dallas series. When your stars are hitting their stride, it's really hard to pick against them. And yeah, McDavid and Draisaitl, we know they're going to show up. That's not even a question. But if Jack Eichel and Mark Stone are playing the way they did at the end of that Minnesota series, they can beat anyone. Plain and simple. Jack Eichel has the ability to take over a hockey game. Mark Stone has the ability to take over a hockey game. They have tremendous depth on their defense. I thought Shea Theodore had a great series. I thought Alex Pietrangelo had a great series. Thomas Hertl, playoff performer. Nick Waugh, good depth. Brett Howden, 3 goals in 6 games, including an overtime winner. Like this is just what he does in the playoffs now. I just think if you're going to go blow for blow with a team, I think Vegas is just a little bit deeper. Edmonton's got the higher end talent. We know high end talent gets it done sometimes, but we also know depth is just as good. And I trust Vegas's bottom 6 a lot more than Edmonton's bottom 6 at the moment. And I'm going to be honest, trust Aiden Hill, and I trust Aiden Hill just a lot more than Calvin Pickard. It's nothing against Calvin Pickard. He's been good, but Aiden Hill's been there. He's done that. He knows what it takes to win this level. He knows what he has to do to win this series. He didn't even have his best series, and they got it done in 6. For God's sakes, Stone and Eichel didn't do shit up until Game 5, and they won in 6. just wait till they get rolling. And they got Riley Smith there, great depth again. And I got Vegas in 6. I think this is going to be another year where McDavid's going to hit that wrench, and that wrench just seems to be Vegas a lot of the time. So, but who knows? And Vander Kane could have his elite second round series that he loves to have, and Edmonton can win that series. Like, once again, I think this is the one series that I think can go either way. All the other ones, I'm pretty confident in my pick. I do think Vegas will win this in 6, though. I just think if you can win a series where no one on your team's performing at a high level, look out. Look out. Genuinely. And I think we saw the Hawks do this a couple times, too, and they were good. I don't think anyone would say that all their stars were playing at an elite level in the Nashville series, and then they just fucking turned on a gear against Minnesota and they swept them. Mm-hmm. This is what great teams do. It's just the reality. Pittsburgh, multiple times they've done this. And there's a reason this team has represented the Western Conference, and one of these teams have represented them in the last 3 years. It's because they're both really fucking good. So, and I think they're going to represent them again in the Cup final. So whoever wins that series, look out. But as of right now, I'm going with Vegas in 6.
I want it to be Edmonton so bad just because I really don't like Vegas. But I don't know. It's kind of like what you were saying. Vegas is just so good. And I could see them winning the whole thing. But I don't know. The series could go either way, but I think it's going to be Vegas, but I want it to be Edmonton.
Oh, man. When was the last time Brandon saw a torch the Oilers in the playoffs? Certainly that has never happened in the past.
I also completely forgot he played for Vegas up until this point.
It's my go right there.
Scouts throughout the league so much that I just forgot he was in Vegas.
And I think this is another reason. It's not just Eichel and Stone. They won a series where Barbashev had 2 points in 6 games, Carlson had 2 points in 6 games, Smith had 2 points in 6 games, Dorofeyev had 2 points in 6 games. 2 of those 4 turned on. That's another year. It's crazy. Because, I'm going to be honest, Edmonton had everyone hit their peak in that first round. Who's to say that happens in the next round? We've seen it time and time again. Who knows? Maybe this is their Capitals run and they just get fucking 8 goals out of Connor Brown on the 4th line. But I'm just going with what I know. And Vegas is just they're a buzzsaw, dude. They're a buzzsaw for the way Edmonton builds their roster. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm talking about Vegas because again, I'm so excited for this series. I think it's gonna go it's gonna go 7, and we're gonna deserve it. And it can go either way. And Vegas, it's we talked about that buzzsaw, and the talk has been around Florida, they're this bastard team to play against, and it's I think they learned that from Tampa Bay. They also learned that from Vegas, dude. Vegas bullied them in the Cup final, shoved them into a locker, stole their lunch money, and stabbed them repeatedly in that series. Vegas still is on that level. I still think who wins the series goes on and wins the Cup.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But yeah, I just want good hockey more than anything. Obviously, living in Edmonton, I want to see the Oilers go on, and it will be a tough off season if they lose to Vegas again. But yeah, I think we're in for some very good hockey.
Yep, these teams are hitting their stride. They're getting healthier, and the dangerous thought to think about. And I think we're at a point where there's 4 teams that I think can win the Cup, and there's 4 teams that you got to surprise me. It's kind of how I'm looking at it right now.
I also I think it's going to be a crazy offensive series, like what you said with Vegas. I think their offense is really going to turn it on. I think the Oilers are, as always, are going to be there. I don't think there's going to be a lot of saves. Aiden Hill might turn on like he did in 2023. I mean, that's where their whole Cup run turned around, is when he came in and really shut things down. But I think there's going to be a lot of goal scoring in this series, just looking at how the goalies have performed.
Agreed. Like you said, wouldn't surprise me if Hellebuck and Ottinger just have a goalie duel in that series. You know what I mean? This is what happens. We're getting to the best of the best left, and can't help but be excited for sure.
Yeah, for me, like the trajectory, like it feels the past few years like it's gone down. To me, like it feels like it's going up. So like of like the in terms of like going deeper in the playoffs and the games like getting better and better. So I hope we keep that. Like we haven't watched any normal hockey as of recently.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Like we could see a conference final just like in 2023. Like I could fully see like Dallas, Vegas, and then Carolina and Florida again.
Yeah. Very real possibility.
I think we could see a Vegas Florida rematch. I think we could see a Florida Edmonton rematch. That's still on the table. Or who knows? Maybe Dallas finally breaks through, or maybe Carolina finally breaks through. Guess we'll see.
Once again, it's going to be a round where we look back and there's going to be some teams looking themselves in the mirror, and there's going to be other teams that we say, "Holy shit, they hit that gear." You know what I mean? And I look at Toronto, I think they can hit that gear. I look at Vegas, they haven't even hit that gear yet. I look at Edmonton, they're hitting that gear. Winnipeg, Dallas, they're hitting that gear. It's going to get interesting. It's going to get very interesting. I don't even think Florida's hit their gear yet, if I'm being honest.
No, I agree. They beat Tampa in 5. Yeah. Like talk about the Schmitty jinx.
And Jake's in the Lightning all year.
Games.
Get excited.
Yeah. But I really thought like whoever came out of that series would go to the conference final. Like I still think like as it stands, Florida's got a pretty clean run of the finals, but they're down 1-0 right now. And that's why we can make all these predictions, but the game's gotta be played on the ice.
So the prophecy says.
The prophecy foretold. All right.
All right.
I think that covers everything. Like again, we haven't done we never did our round 1 predictions. We didn't even talk about the round 1 until we got here. So it's nice to kind of lay all that out and preview the second round. So I don't know if you guys have any closing thoughts, or we can wrap this up. We're getting pretty damn close to 2 hours now. There's still like 7-8 weeks till the draft, free agency. Like we might find out soon who the Blackhawks are going to hire as a head coach. Might we maybe see some trades? I don't know, but yeah, if any of that does happen, any Blackhawks news, we'll be sure to record a podcast for that. So yeah, do you guys have any closing thoughts, or we can wrap this up?
Impatiently waiting for the off season.
Kind of ready for it to be next season already, just because I somehow miss watching the Hawks.
It really, like I said this on the interview with Ben Pope, like these last however many years have felt like an autopsy. It's just like, oh, it's dead. Like let's move on. But this year, like it really felt like poetic the way the season ended with a Bedard and Nazar goal. It felt like, oh, like I actually want to see them play more. So like that's not gonna straight carry into next year, but there's definitely like hope on the horizon, like there hasn't been, I'd say, in a long time.
100% agree. Definitely a different mood than where we were at the end of last year, to say the least.
Yeah, because like even last year, it's like, yeah, we still got Bedard, but who else is on the way? And now, like I remember I said at the beginning of the year, I'd be like, oh, it'd be cool if Lev Shunov comes up, maybe Renzel and Moorside at the end of the season. Like all that happened. They got Spencer Knight. They've also gotten other performances from young players, and like again, I still think probably a couple of years away, but this nucleus could just form together and create a supernova. I'm just gonna make that the name of the podcast.
Supernova?
Hell yeah.
Let's go. I like it.
And like said this so many damn times. Like Kyle Davidson's got the tough stuff out of the way, I think. Like easiest thing to get is wingers. That's what they need. You got Spencer Knight can be on the team next year, so could Drew Camesso, so could Laurent Brossoit. Like you got competition there. The defense as well. And they're good. I think they should add another one. I think they will. And like same with the forwards. Like I think you just got to add some help for Bedard and Nazar now. Like that should be the fun part. You got all these first round picks. You got the money for a reason. Like go and have fun and get the players you want, and hopefully they fit in the top 6.
We're praying. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I want to see
I
it.
think a good idea for a podcast episode is like specific targets, whether that's through trade or free agency. I think that'd be a good thing to do for next time if y'all are down for that.
I'm down.
Yeah.
For shout.
For sure. Yeah. All right. It was nice having you two on the podcast again, especially Reagan. Like I can't remember the last time we had you on, so it was nice to have you back
I
on
know it's
again.
been
Hopefully.
so long, but it was so good to be back.
Yeah, like even Dylan and I haven't done that many really this entire like 2025. Like it's just been so busy, but yeah, with the off season coming up, hopefully content and like still the playoffs going on, like even just like a podcast a week is always nice to do.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And
All right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, you're good.
Oh, you go.
I was just gonna say my
Okay.
schedule is gonna allow that to happen finally, so that'll be nice.
Nice. Alrighty. Do you guys have any final thoughts, or we gonna wrap this up?
Anton Thorndale season.
Hell yeah, brother. Or like by the grace of God, like Michael Misa falls to 3 and like the Islanders take James Haggins. Or shit, maybe the Sharks are like, we want Anton Ferndale, and we're like, okay, I guess we'll take Michael Misa. You never know.
No.
Oh no. Like it's silly season, like whether that's the playoffs, like nothing can change things like a first round loss. We know that firsthand as Blackhawks fans. I mean, same with the draft. Like all it takes is one team, one player. So yeah. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast. Give us a 5-star rating on your preferred podcast platform. If you're watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, smash it if you will. Same with the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. We've also, alongside of the video podcast, I've been uploading some like clips of like past podcast episodes, like more of a condensed clip you can watch, maybe more 20 minutes of some interesting discussions we have. Like it's coming up on 2 years of Connor Bedard getting winning the draft lottery for that. So for Thursday, I'm going to have our reactions out for that. so look out for that. So yeah, for Pierce, Dylan, and Reagan, take it easy, y'all. Enjoy your night, and we shall talk another time. Peace.
Bye.